Great to have you with us on Fox Sports 2. This is America's Day at the Races, as always, brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit America'sBestRacing.net today from Oaklawn Park in the Oaklawn Park studios alongside Paul LaDuca. I'm Lafitte Pinkai. Lots going on this Sunday afternoon. Live racing from Oaklawn and Aqueduct, plus the aftermath following yesterday's 4 Kentucky Derby prep races, Paulie. And for the fans here at Oaklawn, maybe not the weather they were looking forward to, but an exciting edition of the Southwest and a breakout performance by one colt.
Yeah, now you got to give the credit to the fans here at Oaklawn Park. Still 30,000 people showed up in a driving rain. The rain did not stop all day, all the way through the night. It finally stopped at about 4, and then the Southwest got underway. And it was Mystic Dan's day and Kenny McPeek, and he floated over the racetrack. And it was poetry in motion by Brian Hernandez, who just put on a signature ride, one that he'll probably remember. You know, Mig and I always talk about, you know, our glory days and go back. You always remember, those rides. You always remember those certain at-bats at certain times. Brian Hernandez is going to remember this ride.
Hernandez, big afternoon. McPeek, big afternoon. Sounds like McPeek leaning towards skipping the Rebel and running in the Arkansas Derby. Speaking of which, the road to the Kentucky Derby through Oaklawn. We're halfway there. Next stop, the Rebel, late February. And finally, the Arkansas Derby, late March, as we welcome in the third member of our on-site broadcast team, Richie Migliori, standing by in the grandstand. Richie, so much focus on the winner, but the runner-up as well. And you just had a chance to talk to his Hall of Fame trainer, D. Wayne Lukas.
Yeah, I was impressed with the runner-up, Jess Steele, as well. And, you know, talking with Wayne Lukas just about 20 minutes ago, you know, he's a very big, stout son of Justify. He had interruptions in his training because of the weather that has wreaked havoc with a lot of training schedules here, where Mystic Dan was, you know, training at Fairgrounds, so he didn't have any interruptions. He was part of the pace, and he was the only horse that was a part of the pace that stuck around. It was 8 lengths back to him, but then it was another 9 lengths back from the third place finisher to the group that was involved early. And talking with Wayne, he said he feels like he's still carrying a little bit of weight. He's a big horse that could use racing. He's planning on coming back in 3 weeks to the Rebel. And actually, Lafitte, toying with the idea of taking the blinkers off him. He said he put the blinkers on when he was younger because he wasn't as focused. Seems like he's very focused now, and he stayed just a little bit keen. I think the blinkers off in racing. This horse, he's got a big forward move in him. He's got the pedigree, the look, and he certainly has the right conditioner in Wayne Lukas.
By Triple Crown winner Justify, Just Steele. It doesn't surprise anyone that Lukas is going to forge onto the Rebel Stakes. And you, like, after the show, you kept referencing how good you think he is as an individual. Like, maybe not thriving at the American Classic racing distance of 1.25 miles, but impressed by him as a racehorse.
Yeah, he's physically, well, he's a physical specimen, to be honest with you. I just hope he doesn't turn into like a Charles Barkley type. Very, very thin and fit as a 76er and a son, and then he got a little bit older. He's just a big boy. And I actually think, to be honest with you, if I was going to make a future bet for the Met Mile next year, it would be Just Steele. I think he's a one-turb type of horse. He just, I don't know if he wants to go those 2 turns because he's such a big lumbering horse, but I think he's so talented that if he goes back to 1 turn and sprints, he could be very dangerous.
So sounds like Just Steele onto the Rebel, Mystic Dan, Southwest winner, onto the Arkansas Derby for trainer Kenny McPeek. Much more on yesterday's 3-year-old activity, but first, today's race is brought to you by Claiborne Farm. Late pick 3 from Aqueduct starts in the 7th here at Oaklawn. Races 4 through 9. The 8th is the feature for Arkansas bred filly and mare sprinters. And they're on the track for the 4th, just 2 minutes out, Paul. $45,000 claimers here, non-winners to lifetime, older sprinters, 6 furlong dash, dealing with a muddy track. Who'd you come up with?
Yeah, in a muddy track, and I was going to allude to that too, Lafitte. We do have a muddy racetrack, and a lot of people saying, well, will it dry out? It's about 40 degrees. There's no sun out, so I think it's going to stay muddy throughout the day, or at least moist. Now, that being said, you do have the 9 Lundberg in here. I don't know if we can get down to Richie. He's a big sort, and I know that Ryan Moquett is a horseman that is very, very good, and he was always having trouble getting this horse to the winner's circle. Finally got it done. Maybe the light bulb I'm just worried that he's kind of a big sort, and will he be able to get over this kind of surface?
What do you know? We do have time to check in with Richie.
Well, you know, it's interesting. Looking at this race on paper, Paul, I was saying in the 9, Lundberg looks like he's controlling speed here. You know, in Oaklawn, we usually see contested paces. These riders are not bashful about getting their position going forward, using their horse's speed. I just thought he was the one that kind of stood out that he was going to get it. Now, I guess other people had much the same idea as I did because they bet him down to favoritism. I was thinking I was going to be clever and he'd be second or third choice. He's going to be my top selection. I do think they've got a good tight seal on this track, and it feels like they're running over the top of the ground more than really getting down into it. So that should benefit him considering his size. You got to give the 1 Redline Overdrive a look, just because Norm McKnight's horses have been running so well out of Canada. Now, this horse did try dirt before he switched to synthetic, and his races were okay. Maybe, you know, it won't be as glaring as we've seen some of the McKnight horses that had never tried dirt and have performed extremely well over the Oaklawn Park Strip. And then the 4, Tim Tal, you know, it's Diodoro, Christian Torres, a dynamic duo, but at 3-1, doesn't he seem maybe he's just a touch cold on the board, Paul?
I would say he is. You know, he's getting blinkers for the first time, and you're wondering after his last race, you know, Lafitte, he got left. Now, the tactics got changed, and Christian Torres basically had to change his own tactics and say, okay, let's take him from behind. And he did. He ran on okay. And now is Robertino Diodoro saying, okay, the blinkers are coming on. We want that speed to come back. And then, okay, now is it him and Lundberg going at it early? So, yeah, very intriguing. You know, Mig makes a good point there. Tim Tal was 2-1 on the morning line with 2 scratches and is, you know, over that line at 3-1.
3-1, Lundberg 2-1, the favorite. Richie touched on Redline Overdrive drawn inside for Norm McKnight, in a long time since his last dirt race. There he is. He's been in Canada, and it's been one synthetic track race after the next. 12-1 on the morning line. Look at him there. It's 7-2 live on the board.
Yeah, and another horse that is putting blinkers, and I'm going to tell you right now, Ramsey Zimmerman's going to send, so the 1 will show speed. And Mig's right. Norm McKnight's horses have been firing. First time here on dirt. So I would think the 1 is going to blast out of there, too, as well. I like the 3 in here, Fan the Fire.
Nice.
For Joey Sharp, putting the blinkers on. You know, last time out he got hung very, very wide on a, you know, on a tough pace. I think this horse wants to be, you know, behind and make 1 run. And Emmanuel Esquivel, I think that's his best trait. Sitting back and making 1 run. I know they put the blinkers on, but this horse has had the blinkers on before. So I'm thinking outside the box in here. It's been outside the box so far the last 2 races.
8-1, Fan the Fire. You see those colors all the time in our Saratoga Live coverage. And in New York, 3 Diamonds Farm for Kurt Wyckoff, Fan the Fire. Manny Esquivel, who won last night's nightcap, and a horse who paid $26. We'll see how it all unfolds. Matt Dinnerman standing by with the call, the 4th from Oaklawn on a Sunday, live on Fox Sports 2.
Working with Lundberg, coming up to the gate now. We're ready to go. And we're off. Western Ghent put it a play early as an arrow lead on Lundberg. They're on the outside, applying the heat in the early stages. Tim Tal pretty aggressively ridden, but isn't quite quick enough to go with the top pair, at least in the early stages. Shuffle Dance racing outside of that rival. A gap of 2 to Redline Overdrive. Funny Uncle alongside, and Fan the Fire is at the back of the pack, 6 lengths off Western Ghent, who's off the rail at the moment. Leads a half length from Lundberg, facing winners for the first time right there into the turn. Those 2 really going at it around that turn, and they open up 3 now. Tim Tal sent along from 3rd. Shuffle Dance in an all-out drive, joined by Redline Overdrive and Funny Uncle, who's 3 wide. Fan the Fire still behind as they hit the quarter pole. Lundberg just stepped on the gas and opened up 3. Western Ghent could not keep up, is plummeting back. He's done. Tim Tal takes the 2nd spot. Funny Uncle on the grandstand side trying to move forward with a furlong to go. It's Lundberg by 3. Tim Tal down on the rail 2nd, trying to gain ground. He is making up ground now. Lundberg has to finish. He's a length in front. Tim Tal's diving after him with 1 last surge. Lundberg and Tim Tal. Tim Tal got it on the inside. Tim Tal by a nose just got there. Lundberg with a heartbreaking loss 2nd. Funny Uncle, Redline Overdrive were next.
Heartbreaking is right. Lumberg looks like he's home free, but the danger towards the inside on the rail. And Tim Talon, leading rider Christian Torres, surges late to pick him off.
What a ride here by Christian Torres to keep on pursuing, because Lundberg, in the middle of the racetrack, you could tell he was kind of laying down a little bit, and looked like the 1, the 2 were both pursuing. Christian started going left-handed, and this gelding by Fast Hannah started to respond. And watch him stick out his neck. You don't know where these horses, you don't think these horses know where the finish line is? Congratulations to R&G Stables and Christian Torres. We talked about this yesterday, Lafitte. Christian Torres is now 18%. He was 0 for his first 19
It was ugly at the beginning.
meet.
Yeah.
0 for his first 19 this meet.
3 wins yesterday and a victory here. Well earned. Tim Talon, the 4th at Oaklawn. Let's say hello to our crew in New York. Greg Wolf, Andy Serling standing by. Guys, welcome to the broadcast. What are we looking forward to at the Big A this Sunday afternoon?
Hey, guys, fun way to start things off. Thriller in that stretch drive between 2 of the top riders at the meet right there. Good to be with you. We're getting set for the 7th at Aqueduct coming up out here. Track labeled is good. We have some competitive races to close out the card.
No, looking forward to see what happens. We continue to have a track where the rail has been a big advantage. Now, all the races don't play out that way, but it has been an advantage here. We have some competitive races coming up. We'll see how they play out. I think a lot of the speed scratched out of our 8th race and really may have changed the dynamic of that race.
7th, just about 13 minutes to post. We'll have more on this field, including the post parade coming up just a few moments. You want to play all the action? You can do so by getting signed up, started with NYRA Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Go to NYRABets.com. And the code for new members at sign up to get that $200 deposit match new customer bonus right there. Match 200. There it is. So punch that in, and you are ready to rock at NYRA Bets. The 7th race, 50,000 starter allowance, 6 furlong sprint. And the favorite from the inside, interesting here, Andy, with Natural Harbor. Horse who is quick, wants to be in front. There is some other speed in this race, but going 7 furlongs the last 2 starts has not been able to finish. Shortening up to 6, is that the difference maker?
Maybe. On the other hand, you've got a horse that's now lost at 6-5 and 4-5 in consecutive starts, and those are horses I don't like to make excuses for. Is he going to be the speed, or is the other Linda Rice horse, Vodka Mardini, that Manny Franco takes them out? Jose Lozcano not riding today. I thought Vodka Mardini might clear, and if he does, I think he can win. Maybe the racetrack will help Natural Harbor. We'll see. I don't love horses that have lost consecutive races at short prices.
Let's check in downstairs with Maggie Wolfendale.
And I think that's the most interesting subplot to this race between the 2 Linda Rice horses. Who is, in fact, going to get to the lead? Because as we take a look at Natural Harbor, where he'll try to become victorious at a short price yet again, the fact of the matter, though, is that he's never finished worse than 3rd on a dirt track. He does show up. It's not like he's running horrible races while being beaten, and he looks the part here in the paddock. He's a good-looking son of Munnings. Last time out, it was a tenuous lead, pressured the whole way, and I thought he was fairly game throughout, though not passed by President Z. Makes a great impression here in the paddock, and while he is a big horse, you know, when you compare him to his uncoupled stablemate, he is more compact. He is more built downhill, where the 6 furlongs doesn't concern me as much as him, and he looks like a horse that has that 6 furlong type of speed in there, whereas at number 4, Vodka Mardini, doesn't. He looks like a routing type. He's very long and sinewy. He's kind of tubular as well. He looks fantastic. In fact, better than when I last saw him, which albeit was back in November, so we're going back a couple months. But last time out, he looked uncomfortable over the wet surface. He didn't like being behind horses, and it was a very, very fast and contentious lead, and he just couldn't keep up through those quick fractions, and he resented it by the looks of things. He's not giving me the impression that, at least physically or in his demeanor here, that he's going to be faster than his stablemate. It'll be interesting to see, though, who decides to go, who gets the better break, and who ultimately is finding themselves on the lead. And then there's the horse to the outside for David Jacobson, Uncle George, who is not slow. And in his last 2 efforts, same case today, he draws outside. And in those last 2 efforts, he's broken on top. It's an old adage, last one in, first one out. And it sets him up well to be in that position. Now, being outside's not necessarily the greatest thing in the world here on this racetrack, but again, he came in sharp, engaged, and he's one of those Jacobson horses that looks the part, looks as though they're doing well. And from what I've seen lately, Greg, it feels like if they look the part, then they tend to run the race.
All right, Maggie, thanks. We'll get to this post parade here coming up momentarily. Uncle George, horse who can be not far out of it either here. 7-2 outside, Isaac Castillo for David Jacobson.
He's just doomed to a wide chasing trip. Doesn't mean he can't win, but he does figure to be compromised. And he's 1 for 16 lifetime. But I'm not going to argue that he's run well enough in his last 2 races to be competitive here. I give up trying to figure out David Jacobson. I'm impressed that Maggie is willing to keep trying and plugging away. I have absolutely no idea when his horses are going to randomly run well or randomly run badly.
We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back. 8 minutes to post in this 7th from Aqueduct. And that one right there, Natural Harbor, still the favorite on the board. Will he be the one to catch? Speed's his best weapon. It's come up just short the last couple of starts, but doesn't have to go quite as far today. Back with you on America's Day at the Races on our FS2 coverage. It's brought to you in part where you can play it all at Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime at NairaBets.com. 7th race next here in New York. Here's our post parade. 50,000 starter allowance, 6 furlong sprint, and there is Natural Harbor Speed from the inside.
Yeah, we'll see if he ends up being the speed of the speed. Lost 2 races at short prices, but certainly a player on paper.
Well, we had a Parks shipper win the Withers yesterday. We'll talk more about Uncle Heavy's performance in a minute. It's a Parks shipper coming in that just ran a huge effort last time out looking super.
You look at his PPs and you have to ask yourself, what horse won that last race? Because it's not the same horse as it is in the other races.
Never come close to running that type of race. Return the ring at 9-1.
I thought took advantage of a good rail last time to get it done for Eddie Barker, who's been going well lately.
Linda Rice with the favorite. She also has Vodka Mardini and Manny Franco rides.
I like Vodka Mardini, and I'd love to see an aggressive ride from Manny.
Pine Valley, biggest price on the board at 35-1.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem to have the form to be competitive.
What a meet. Chris Englehart is having 28%. First off the claim here with Kentucky Joker.
He's really on fire. If he can get this one to improve enough off the claim, he'll need the race to collapse.
MB's Munning. This one ran a big figure as well last start, but against 25,000 non-winners of 3 lifetimes.
That's the dilemma, right? Fast race against lesser horses. But he ran well last time, I will say that.
And Uncle George David Jacobson Barn with Isaac Castillo.
He's not a winning type. He was more of a turf horse, but he has run well in his last 2 starts. Can he get the right kind of trip, though, to win this race from that outside post?
Let's take a look at the other Linda Rice runner in this spot here. Vodka Mardini, I know you like 6-1 here, and Manny Franco filling in for Jose Lezcano.
You know, if you start taking his form apart, it's not as bad as it may look. He beat a mediocre field when he broke his maiden, but then he ran against Colonel Vargo, who was in a great form at the time, and he set a wicked pace going 7 furlongs. Then last time out, he just got run off his feet going a mile on a muddy sealed track. Gets back to a faster surface. I know it's labeled good, but it's a harrowed track, and a track that's certainly helpful to horses that are forward if they can get to the rail. And I think he's potentially the speed, and if they want to air him out, he can have the lead. And I loved his dam anyway.
He had a Hot City Girl?
Yeah, big fan. A big score on her at Charlestown.
We tend to remember those, don't we?
Yeah, she was a horse Delay Shield stable owned for Linda.
This horse, we're still talking about Vodka Mardini in your screen here. This horse had the just misfortune of facing some absolute monsters early in his career.
Yeah, it feels like this horse has often been over his head, and I thought he was in a more reasonable spot today, and the price is right.
3 minutes to post. Here in this 7th, we bring in for the first time on our Sunday coverage, JK. What's up, Jonathan?
Wolfie. That was so dramatic. I felt like I was in like a trailer for some sort of an action movie. You said JK like that. I might need to hire you to do something like that for me. I like the inside horse in here, the one Natural Harbor. I like when you get a speed horse drawn towards the inside, because I know that it takes kind of, and especially when you get a rider like Kendrick Carmouche, it takes a little bit of the guessing out of it. The reason I like Natural Harbor is I think this is the speed of the speed. There are some other horses in here that want the front, but I do feel like Natural Harbor is the speed of the speed. And a lot of times in those situations, you get riders, in my opinion, that try to get a little bit too cute. They look at the past performances just like we do, and they try to take away from a horse what comes natural to them, what's comfortable to them. And for me, the one Natural Harbor's best chance is on the front end, and to be the speed of the speed. Taking Natural Harbor back, letting the other speeds go, eating dirt for half a mile, and then trying to produce a run doesn't sound like a winning recipe. So the rail draw in a rider like Kendrick Carmouche almost guarantees that I'm going to get that forward trip that I'm looking for. So I'll go with the one Natural Harbor as my top choice, but I did think the 2 Looking Super was at least a little bit interesting at 11-1, who ran the lifetime best last time. The problem is when I look for horses that run lifetime best, I want to know why. I need an excuse as to why that happened, and I just couldn't find it enough to make Looking Super a top choice, but at least interesting at 11-1.
One to maybe use underneath, Jonathan, as Looking Super. Yeah, it was a lifetime best last time, and I thought that maybe keeping this horse closer to a pace gives him a better opportunity. But what I didn't like about that effort, despite winning comfortably, is that he never switched leads. He's really going to have to bring his A game to this field. And looking at him physically relative to this field, he looked a little overmatched. As at number 1, Natural Harbor, I liked him in the paddock. He continued to impress on the track, moving the best of anyone in here. And as Jonathan talking about not taking anything away from Natural Harbor, Kendrick Carmouche also pays attention to biases, and he is acutely aware of how well he's drawn towards the inside. As do want to mention number 6 in here quickly, Kentucky Joker. I don't see the improve in him. In fact, I don't necessarily think he looks any better than what he did going back to the fall time. He does add those short cup cheater blinkers, but I would have to think not changing too much in what is a deep closer. Greg.
All right, Maggie, thank you. 8-5 favoritism. Natural Harbor from that inside post with Kendrick Carmouche. Can he get clear in here? Let's go upstairs. Chris Griffin, the call.
George goes in. All set. Had a horse go right through the front of the gate. Riders off. One Natural Harbor. Gate crew looking after some of the riders there. I do see Kendrick run right over to Luis Rivera Jr., so short delay. That was the 1 and the 2 acting up there.
So Looking Super, we heard from Chris Griffin, acting up a little bit. As we're going to have a slight delay here, and Natural Harbor being brought back around. Who still at this point is her 8-5 favorite.
That's Louis Rivera, who you guys can see sitting on the rail right now wearing those, I believe those are the silks, the Jimmy Riccio red silks.
Nice job by our crew there, getting the close-up shot of him.
Of course, Louis riding this horse for Jimmy Riccio, whose son is his agent.
And, you know, this is the horse we talked about, his mount. Louis Rivera, Looking Super, the 2, comes in off just a performance that makes you scratch your head. It ran so much better, probably about 5 lengths faster than he ever has in his 13-race career. And the public not expecting that to happen again, scratched on the board.
Oh, he's scratched, okay. So the 2 is coming out, so I guess they'll have to reload them all. Why would I just move the one horse out one post and move everybody in one?
Yeah, it would be more efficient.
Right? I never quite understood that. What do I know?
Rules that are beyond us.
All rules are beyond me, Greg.
So 9-5 now with the scratch of the 2 in here on Natural Harbor. Let's go back down to Maggie.
Guys, yes, we're going to see Natural Harbor come out of here. And you always have to be a little conscious, as you heard Chris Griffin say, of the horse, you know, immediately next to the others. So luckily, I mean, in a way, it was only Looking Super who was affected by this, who was the one who initiated kind of the chain reaction of these horses acting up. And luckily, we will see Natural Harbor reloaded in a moment here. But as you guys saw, looks as though both jocks are A-OK. And I'm sure, as Andy was talking about, with Looking Super coming out, owned by Jimmy Riccio, that Jimmy Riccio, the son, having both the riders on the 1 and 2 horses. So he's just going to have to play with Kendrick here, guys.
And the public will as well, as that's the one they have made the solid favorite, although outside, this horse taking more late money with that scratch of the 2-5 to 2 on Uncle George.
Yeah, and when Jacobson gets bet, they usually run to it. So expect this horse to probably run fairly well. That's the one thing I can say about the Jacobson horses, who's I have no idea what I have no idea whether they're going to run particularly well or not, but it does seem like when they get bet, they do seem to run a little bit better.
Now, Luis Rivera Jr. there on your screen, so he will not have a mount here. He'll get a good seat to watch from. He took the opener on this card. Gate to wire with an odds-on favorite. Won't get an opportunity in this race coming up.
No, but obviously, hopefully everybody's okay. And it seems like Louis is fine, right? Doesn't
It does.
He seems to be fine. Well, that's important, but hopefully everybody's okay, and
so
eventually they'll load it.
That's the 7 we're looking at, and in no rush. I don't know if there still is a delay. What's going on there? This horse,
no idea.
Yeah, in pause mode. This is MB's Money, who is interesting off that last performance.
Did run well. It was a weaker field. He was running against conditional claimers in that race, but in here he's running against open claimers, so it's a little bit of a tougher race. I can get in front of me, actually. This is a starter allowance. It's not even open claimers. It's a tougher field all around. Doesn't mean he can't win. He did run well last time, but he's also switching barns, and Jimmy Ferraro's barn been going very well. Will he run as well for the new barn? That's always the question with claims.
And you can't think that the 2 Linda Rice runners are going to put pressure on each other to try and help this horse's effectiveness, can you?
They're definitely not going to do it to try to help somebody else. They might do it and end up hurting each other, and we have seen horses in the same barn. We saw it yesterday. Didn't we see both Asmussen horses go from the gate in yesterday's Southwest? So anything's possible, but we'll see. We'll see if the 1 outruns the 4. I'm banking on the 4 outrunning the 1. Jonathan thinks the 1 will outrun the 4s. We'll see how it works out.
All right, so still everyone backed out right now. We do have a delay, so while we have a moment before this 7th race, let's look back to yesterday on very big Saturday, of course, on that road to the Triple Crown. Huge upset, which we'll get to a little bit later on, but here in New York, better than even looked performance if you were paying attention to the way the track was playing yesterday from Uncle Heavy.
No, I mean, he really ran well. This was a well-earned victory. It's interesting. It's sort of an effort in contrast. The winner at Oaklawn was helped by being on a good rail. Not that he didn't run a big race, but his performance perhaps a little bit exaggerated by the rail, whereas this horse was outside 4 wide in the first turn, 3 to 2 wide in the second turn, rallied down the center of the track. The second-place finisher, who probably doesn't want to get a mile and 1/8 on a flatbed, was very much helped by the racetrack. And it's not as though El Grande O isn't a capable horse, and he was helped by the bias, and he still was able to get it done. And, you know, you can say, well, you know, the horse in front was tiring. Well, the number 3 horse wasn't able to overcome, and he didn't even have nearly as wide a trip, and he was the heavy favorite as the winner. The winner is just a good horse who ran a very good race for trainer Butch Reed, and it just seems like when Butch Reed comes to New York, if you don't like his horse, at least give the horse another look.
Last 2 meets now at Aqueduct. 3 for 9, all stakes wins, by the way, a second and a third, and he's made over $380,000.
And I don't think they were particularly short prices. He also won the Discovery a couple years ago at 9 to 1. Dr. B has done so well for him in Philly.
Go for one.
Listen, he's a very good trainer, but there are a lot of good trainers that come to New York and their horses don't run as well. It's not the case for Butch Reed. If anything, they might run better.
Cool story, too. I mean, bred by his sister-in-law, named after the original Uncle Heavy. That's his brother, Mark. But he wanted to really get to this race because he feels the sooner he goes longer, the better with him because he wants to run all day.
He does feel like a horse wants to run all day. I hate to tell people this. You can't have a Belmont horse this year. So the Belmont won't be a mile and a half for 2 years. There won't be any more talk of Belmont horses, will there?
No, there will not. Not for a couple of years with us going upstate for the third and final leg of the Triple Crown. 2 horse again, if you're just tuning in. Looking super. He's scratched in this race.
So he won't run, right?
Not going to run.
He's not running. Okay, so
as we update you again on that. It's been a while, so they're trying to sort out some other issues here with his 7th race.
We plan on running it eventually, so stick around.
So it looks, may have been, I'm not sure, caught up. At least they finally got him out of there, and he's now headed back to the barn.
Okay, so hopefully we'll get loading. And
perhaps that was the issue. But, wow, the 1 and the 8, very close in the wagering right now.
Yeah, the money's coming in the 8. It's probably a good sign for the 8, and eventually we're going to run this race, and when we do, you know, I'm not, listen, Natural Harbor could win. He could wire the field and win this race. I won't be surprised. I wouldn't bet on him in here. I'd prefer the 8. I picked the race 4-8-1. I'm hoping the 4 is able to outrun Varga Mardini, but I'm scared of the 8. Not a winning type, but I'm scared of Jacobson horses, especially ones that get bet.
And then, you know, we have a minute, so looking ahead to that 8th race, there are a lot of scratches in that race. It's really changed things in there.
Yeah, if I had it to do over again, Greg, I picked Portage, and when you're a public handicapper, you have picks, and you can't really change them. But given the scratches in this race and the way the racetrack's playing, I would bet Crypto Mama in here, a horse who I think is going to be the speed because they scratched the number 2 Self-Isolation and they scratched the 7 Everyone's Loves Linda's. This was the 2 other speeds in the race. This horse is probably going to find herself on the lead, on the rail, and the cutback in distance is going to help her. She couldn't get a mile and 1/8, and her prior race to mile was exceptional.
And I think the longer you're in this game as a handicapper, you just are wary of any horse that looks like a standout and try and make a case against those horses. In the last race, Maddie Over, special moment for her yesterday, first stakes win of her career. And looks like she's on a horse who is way, way the horse to beat.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. They're moving the gate now. I'm baffled. If Collected Special runs anywhere close to the races that he's run versus this field, he's a cinch, an absolute cinch. Now, as you like to say, they don't run him on paper. They run him on TV screens. But this horse can't lose Collected Special. But he is dropping off a layoff to a maiden 25. He was scratched from a maiden 40 the other day. So that may be a bit of a concern.
So still in a delay. As you can see, as Andy pointed out, they've moved that starting gate. Let's head back downstairs to Maggie for an update.
Well, unfortunately, to extricate Looking Super from the gate, they actually had to move it, guys. He was kind of, the way he went up, he got himself kind of trapped and pinned in there. So the path of least resistance was to move the gate itself, to let him out of there. So they've untacked him. Hopefully he's okay. I haven't necessarily gotten an official word on his status, but it looked as though he was walking away comfortably with the outrider. So now they're going to have to reset the gate, as you see, putting it into position now and making sure we have the right starting position for the gate for this 6 furlong contest, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thank you for that update. So, yeah, as you can see, now putting it back into place.
Seen good movies lately, Greg?
Wow, you know, you think about all the time that as a trainer, anytime you have a horse lining up in a race, you want to just see those gates break.
Absolutely.
And now a lot of time to sit, think, and for these horses to have more time on their hands.
They're probably less annoyed than the rest of us, and the human counterparts tends to be kind of frustrating at times. And you're right, though. I mean, there's a million things that go wrong and so few things that can go right, and it's frustrating. I think there are a lot of things that can be frustrating at the track, and especially for connections. At the end of the day, you just want to feel like you have a fair chance. And if connection's a 2, you ship the horse over, you want to run, you feel you have a live chance, and then something happens. I mean, it's part of the game. It happens to everybody, but that doesn't make it less frustrating.
Looks like
this race could go off any minute now.
Just about finally ready to reload here as they've gotten things sorted out. Look, the good news is we saw Lookin' Super, who was scratched out of here, and that's why they had to move that gate, walking under his own power and looked to be fine. So.
Yeah, that's important, obviously. You want to see him, and Louis Rivera seemed to be fine as well, so that's also very good news.
I want to keep everyone up to date as well. Back at Oaklawn, 5th race is, I think, about 8 minutes to post. It's a $12,000 maiden claiming 6 furlong sprint, so that is coming up.
Should we give everyone my lock of the day?
This is your lock of the day?
Yeah, the one horse.
That's right.
The one horse.
Preacher's Kid, the one.
Preacher's Kid. It's all Preacher's Kid.
Broke
6-1 right now.
Last out of the gate in that race.
Who are they betting here? Who should I be scared of? You got a
4-to-1's your favorite.
Strike, the 3 horse, the 5 who's run 9 times getting bet. Any firsters taking money? The 11 and 12. The 12 is Tino, ran once. Maybe I should throw the 12 in. What do you think?
Definitely throw the 12 in. It's one of the most dangerous barns in the country, who was debuted on turf.
Yeah, I think they're seeing the big drop down though, right? You know, and these horses running at Remington Park, and I don't know. I think it's possible. All right, I'll use the 12 defensively. $1 Exactabucks.
All right, so that's coming up at Oaklawn, that 5th race, and we'll get back to Lafitte, Paulie, and Mig as soon as we're done here. Quite a delay here in this 7th from Aqueduct, and finally sorted things out here. Looking Super. Scratch issues getting him extricated from that starting gate. They had to move it, as you heard from Maggie Wolfendale, to help facilitate that process. We saw him walk back to the barn. Now they've moved the gate back into place, and we are finally ready to reload.
Theoretically, we're waiting for the reload. We're excited.
And with that,
there we go. They're getting
still
close.
Natural Harbor the one. Not as heavy a favorite as he was, but there he is. Still the 2-to-1 choice. Kendrick Carmouche.
All
right.
right.
See if shortening up to 6 furlongs makes that speed and finishing ability a little more potent after coming up 2nd and 3rd and tiring a little bit late in those last 2 7-furlong outings. Chris Griffin, the call here, finally the 7th from Aqueduct.
Here's Pine Valley stepping forward. Still 4 out here. Gate has been reset. There's Pine Valley. Kentucky Joker. Dylan Davis next. And that'll leave 2 out. MB's Money. And Uncle George. Uncle George moves forward. And it. All set. And they're off. Very awkward start there for Uncle George as the early trailer. MB's Money right out towards the front, and Vodka Mardini's got early speed as well. That's the top 2, and Return the Ring is just off of them. It's going to stalk from 3rd. After the awkward start, Uncle George is progressing, is now challenging and taking that 3rd position away as Vodka Mardini is the leader. Further back in the Purple Silks is Pine Valley, who's now tracking from 5th, and Kentucky Joker second to last. The trailer, Natural Harbor, they're chasing Vodka Mardini. Vodka Mardini is up by a half length. MB's Money continues to chase here from 2nd. Uncle George with that sustained rally. 3 wide is coming after the leaders. Lane Luzzy, Return the Ring. They're saving ground to the inside. inside, right in behind the lead of Vodka Mardini as they approach the quarter pole. Also trying to run on from the back is Pine Valley, Natural Harbor, and Kentucky Joker. They reach the top of the stretch, and Vodka Mardini now gets the cue. Getting off the rail, return the ring, wants to muscle on out of there. It's Vodka Mardini who's in front. MB's Money is still in that mix. Same can be said for Uncle George. Not making up the ground now is Return the Ring. It is Vodka Mardini inside that final furlong, still with that 2-length advantage. From way out of it, Kentucky Joker is rallying on with a furious rally on the grandstand side. Vodka Mardini needs a line. Kentucky Joker at the line. Photo finish. Did Kentucky Joker get up? It's a tight photo between Kentucky Joker and Vodka Mardini in 1 minute 14 and 1.
One horse, Natural Harbor, didn't break. Vodka Mardini, the other, Linda Rice, in front and may have been nailed in the last jump by the 6 Kentucky Joker.
I don't know what to say. I can't tell. I bet the 4, so I'm sure the 6 won, but I don't know what to say. You know, I thought the 4 was the speed. The 4 was 5-1. The 4 got the lead. Not supposed to lose. No excuse to lose this race, Vodka Mardini, frankly. But a horse from a barn whose horses are running like they're shot out of cannons ends up winning the race. I mean, I don't know where you come up with this race. It's not like the race fell apart, and 6 did win, of course. I don't know what to say. I guess you have to use every Chris Englehart, the horse that runs now.
We talked, about this barn.
Where is this horse's race and his PPs that are even? What am I looking at here? This horse won a mate. This horse doesn't have a race in his PPs from a speed figure standpoint that's even remotely competitive.
Tough to come up with, no question. 8-1 here. This barn, 28% coming in. Race completely changed, obviously. Right when the gates open, keep your eyes on the 1.
No, it's the 8 I think we're talking about here. That's why
sorry.
We felt that the 8 may have broken the gate. The guys would have to show that again. The 1 just didn't have any speed. The 1
finished
obviously
fourth, by the
couldn't
way.
run at all. I think the question was, is there an inquiry?
Not
Okay, there's no
yet.
inquiry. I don't. The 8 did break the gate before the race opened. That is a fact.
And again, did finish 4th, Uncle George. 6-4-7-8. All right, so an 8-1 upset here with Kentucky Joker. Well, let's get back to Lafitte and Paul as we get set for the 5th.
When are you guys going to start carrying your own weight, pulling your own weight on this broadcast? Paulie and I feel like Forgo here with all this heavy lifting.
My goodness. Kentucky Joker, the old Linda Rice horse, off the claim, runs down the Linda Rice horse. Wow.
Murphy's Law in full effect. Aqueduct here at Oaklawn on a muddy track. Race 5, a minute out now. $12,500 maiden claimers, 6 furlong sprint. And a lukewarm 3-1 favorite, Paulie, in the form of Third Watch.
Yeah, and a horse for 10 strike here, a son of Midnight Loot. This horse was in the Brad Cox barn, 2 maiden special weight races in the Archie Bred division here last year, and, was okay, at least betting both of those starts. Now in the Matt Shearer barn, has been a long layoff, but dropped to 20 now is going to be the lowest that this colt's been in for. And, when you look at his pedigree, Midnight Loot out of the Malibu Moon Mare, it's not a typical Arkansas pedigree.
No. Third Watch, 3-1, tepid choice. A Preacher's Kid drawn inside. It was a really even debut late December, but with Nick Borges aboard, a contender here on paper.
Yeah, a horse that did not break well and I thought was rushed up and then kind of ran even a little bit, got backed up, and then came running a little bit. I think the 1 has got a big shot. Needs to break out of the gate, though, and to get himself into good position.
Richie, this wide open maiden affair. What are you seeing from the grandstand?
It is a wide open affair. I was down in the paddock looking at these horses, and honestly, there were some that did not look like lower level maiden claimers, starting with the 3 Third Watch. Just looked fantastic. Really stout horse, got a really good work tab coming into this. And the 5 Serpille were standouts. Ron Marquette does a great job. I wound up going to the 5 Serpille because Ron Marquette actually just saved my life in the paddock. I was up against the far wall, and the 2-horse Dario kind of froze, ran backwards, and Ron grabbed me and one of his owners and got us both out of the way before we got kind of smushed against that wall. So I had to go with Ron on this because, first of all, he's a terrific horse trainer, but he saved me. So I got to like the guy even more.
Tight quarters there. Head on a swivel, man.
Oh, that is true, especially when you do have some Arkansas breds in this race, some Kentucky breds. You know, the 11 in here, Mr. Seeker's taking a lot of money.
Yep.
Miguel Angel Silva is a very good conditioner. Eduardo Gallardo got his first win the other day after having an accident early in this meet. But this is a horse first time out, you know, ran even, then was bet the next time out. Things went wrong. Now gelding Lasix dropped for 12.5 and is dangerously getting bet on the board. And the 12 in here, I'm a fun guy, was bet down to 2-1 first time out. So I'm kind of surprised that horse is not your favorite with Christian Torres.
Yeah, with I'm a fun guy. We're talking about number 12 while you're looking at third watch in the 10-strike colors. Lukewarm choice 7-2. I'm a fun guy. It's a second start. You got the going, you know, the kitchen sink here with the blinkers, the Lasix, a first start on dirt, and the connections. You could just ride the hot hand of Christian Torres, the leading rider, 3 wins yesterday, and he and Diodoro looking to go back-to-back in the Oaklawn program.
Yeah, you're right. Diodoro and Torres starting to heat up. Like I said, I like the 11. I think the 10 is the other horse in here that could be a long shot play here at 16-1 for Tammy Hornsby, because this is a horse that's run okay in open company at Louisiana Downs. The last race got left and kind of rushed up into a fast pace. Now the drop, and Willie De La Cruz aboard, and you're getting 16-1. That's a nice price. These type of races, most of the time, reveal big long shots.
Wide open. $12,500 maiden claimers. Final check of the toe board reading 7-2 on 10-strike racing's third watch. Matt Ditterman standing by.
Berryville Bullet to take his spot. Sir Peel coming up in the red and black. Berryville Bullet goes it. Our Heavenly Gift. Scott City. 2 more runners to round out the field. Mr. Seeker. And I'm a Fun Guy to the outside. I'm a Fun Guy coming up. Going in. We're ready to go. One of the runners in the middle was stirred up. One of them couldn't see who it was. Looks like they've settled down. And Leroff. I'm a Funny Guy on the far outside, getting all the way towards the rail, clears off from the competition. I'm a Funny Guy, very quick to get to the front. He's got the lead by a length and a half. Scott City running in the second position. Berryville Bullet already sent along from the third position, losing ground already. He's been passed by Mr. Seeker. Our Heavenly Gift is there. So is Preacher's Kid down on the inside, and Sir Peel's making up ground, passing runners to claim third into the 4-turn run. We come back to Dario. He's about 8 lengths behind in a strung out group. Tommy Try and third watcher next. Berryville Bullet has plummeted in the wrong direction, is dropping right out of it. Stoff and Preparedness are next as they round the 4-turn. Battle on the lead. Scott City up to challenge I'm a Funny Guy, and it's now Scott City who has the head lead. I'm a Fun Guy back in second on the inside, retreating. Sir Peel in third coming off the turn. Preacher's Kid making an eye-catching run on the fence. Here comes Preacher's Kid and Nick Juarez coming up to challenge the front runners. Third watch finds daylight between horses. He's battling on. Sir Peel continues to grind away. It's third watch. Third watch kicking away for Apprentice Carlos Barboza. And third watch wins it by 2.5. Preacher's Kid was second. Sir Peel third. Dario fourth home.
10 strike does strike. Fifth race, Oaklawn. Third watch by 2-time Breeders' Cup Sprint champ Midnight Loot, closing as a 2-1 favorite.
Yeah, and J.C. Barbosa, the bug boy, he got 12 pounds in this race. Him and Joey Bellmare are 2 young riders that are getting a lot of weight. And he looked well on this son of Midnight Loot, Matt Scherer, and Mick called it. This horse outlooked the field, outran the field. Good call by Andy. I know he liked the
Big
one in here.
Big effort from him.
Yeah, 7-1. Horse ran really well here.
he got through on the rail. I thought he had a shot.
Yeah, he did. And, you know, the 3 just had a ton of horse. You could just see his stride just very, very long.
Richie for Ron Moquette. Sir Peel, Ron saved your life and has to settle for a third place finish. No match for third watch in the final 16th.
Yeah, third watch, too. Didn't break particularly well, but I was very impressed with Carlos Barboza for a 7-pound apprentice to just sit chilly then and, you know, play the hand that was dealt him. He said, okay, I broke slow. Let me take my time. And he finished as well as a rider could finish for getting his 25th win of his entire career. He looks a lot more polished than that. This is an apprentice I think we got to keep an eye on. I've been impressed with Joey Belmire, who's looking for his 5th win, and now I'm impressed with Carlos Barboza, who, you know, listen, they're riding with good riders. Good habits are going to, you know, certainly rub off, if you will, but can't teach a kid to be cool when things don't go well at the break, and he was very cool, guys.
Richie knows exactly what a good young apprentice looks like. An Eclipse Award winning apprentice was the MiG. And here, Carlos Barboza pressing all the right buttons, all the right moves with third watch as the favorite delivers in the 5th from Oaklawn. Results when we come back 3-1, 5-2.
This proven son of Giants Causeway has sired 7 millionaires. With over 10% stakes performers, his recent top runners include Tarabi, placed in the Grade 1 Spinaway and Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, Grade 2 winner Plum Ali, plus these standout performers. A proven value sire, First Samurai, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
Into second, Nashville dropping out of it, and then Collusion Illusion. What a spectacular return for Charlatan, who will romp in the run-happy Malibu Stakes by 4.5 emphatic lengths. Charlatan, ultra impressive.
It's a new day for a new king.
You're watching America's Day at the Races on FS2, regional networks across the country. It's brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. What an upset this was. Dylan Davis. Chris Engelhart Barn remains hot as can be, 8-1 with Kentucky Joker first off the claim.
Yeah, at times you don't handicap. You bet trainers, and this is a barn whose horses have been running extremely well. We saw the Firster win. We saw a horse run well earlier today that should have won, got unlucky to lose. We saw that alternate reality, right, who's involved in one of the carryovers run very well, and sometimes you just have to bet the barns, and this barn is going extremely well. This horse made little sense, at least to me on paper.
Meanwhile, back at Oaklawn, third watch, Class Dropper was with Brad Cox, now Matt Shearer gets the win, $6.40 for the victory.
Person smarter than me would have had the exacta, but I bet Preacher's Kid to win. Third watch was best.
By the way, third win today for Dylan Davis on this Sunday card. We're going to take a timeout. We're going to talk about one of the hot hands in Hot Springs when we return. Christian Torres only began his career in 2019, making the move to Hot Springs, paying huge dividends. You're watching America's Day of the Races. Good to have you with us on this Sunday afternoon with live action from Aqueduct and Oaklawn as we close out our week of racing here in early February. 8th next here in New York, 6 furlongs. Allowance optional claiming field. We had Dylan Davis on this incredible roll a few weeks ago. I want to say he won with 9 of 12 mounts at one point. He's now won on today's card with 3 of his last 4.
Well, he's ridden very well. I mean, he won the race, I think the third race, the mile and 1/8 race, on a horse that I don't even know if he was second best. And when you're winning on horses, I think it was the third race, that aren't even, it was the fifth race. When you're not even second best, you're doing something right. And he just stuck the rail at Uncle Marty, and he got extremely fortunate that there was a suicidal duel up front. But also, it didn't help when one of the duelers, the rider, decided to sit out in the middle of the racetrack as opposed to taking advantage of the rail. And Dylan just said, well, I'll just sit on the rail. And the race came apart in the late stages, and he just got up to win. But he deserved the credit for that one. If he hadn't ridden like that, he wouldn't have won.
And actually, his mount was scratched in the 6th. He's won 3 in a row.
No, and he rode the last winner well. I mean, it helps to be on a horse that runs miraculously well out of nowhere, but he rode the horse well.
Got a chance for 4 in a row on this one here. This is Lilu, who had a monster performance, although came up short on a muddy sealed track 2 starts back.
Yeah, now she is a horse that has done some very good racing on wet tracks, but she's also run well on dry tracks. And she shouldn't get his moniker, she's just a wet track horse. It's just not true. This was a huge effort. I mean, she runs this race. It would be incredibly surprising if she lost. It's, however, a bit of an aberration for her. I think she's a little overbet right now, but she's a nice horse, and she's probably the horse to beat.
Odds-on favorite. Meanwhile, Linda Rice with this comebacking 5-year-old debut for Portage. Kendrick Carmouche will ride, and she will cut back in distance for her return.
Right. Now, she was entered going longer. Either we canceled or she scratched. I can't remember. And she has run better going longer. 6 furlong race. She really never got in it and ran second at Saratoga. Was the distance too short, or did she not run a race that day? Because it's not like this mile race, she didn't run like she could have won at 6 furlongs, right? She was engaged at a very quick pace, and she still was able to hold on. It's a very talented horse, and right now an overlay at 9-2 because they're betting so much on the 8. But once again, it's a race that really changed with scratches, and it changed in a manner that's going to help Crypto Mama. And I'll tell you something. Talk about Dylan Davis riding well. Jose Gomez has really been understanding the racetrack the last couple days as well.
Manny Franco, you saw there with a leg up on Proud Foot, the 5 for the Dutrow barn, trying to win that 6-year-old mare now 3 in a row. One is the favorite last time out at 7/8 of a mile.
Was last time the time she circled the field. This is a tougher group, but it's not like she's completely out of it. But I think she'd have to run every bit of her best race. But she's certainly improved going into the barn for Rick Dutrow.
Here's the remaining half of the entry with the 1 and 1A, and it's post 2 for Crypto Mama.
I'm betting on Crypto Mama in this race. My pick was the 4 because I can't change my picks, but I think Crypto Mama's going to wire the field.
Remaining half of the 2 entry here, Taming the Tigers, David Jacobson.
Her lack of speed bothers me, but I think she's interesting on a fair racetrack.
The rail to Portage for Linda Rice.
This is an overlay on Portage, so, I mean, I'm going to use her in exactas with the 1, but they're betting her like she can't win.
Again, trying to win 3 in a row. Here's Proud Foot.
Good form, tougher spot. Going gets tougher as you keep winning.
And the 4-5 favorite, Lilu. Nacho Correas with Dylan Davis looking to win his 4th straight.
Well, I'll put you on the spot, Greg. Do you think she should be this short in here?
No, it seems like they're making her that price off that race 2 back, and that was a complete abnormality, wasn't it?
Right, and I just think her other races make her a major contender
she comes
here.
Back to earth.
But
yeah.
I don't think they make her a 4-5 shot in here. And if they're betting just because Dylan's winning a lot of races, well, that's madness.
3 minutes to post in the 8th. Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
Let's check in with that heavy favorite in Lilu. New York bred coming back in here for Nacho Correas. And last time out, I thought she ran very well. She was wired that day by Back to Ohio, who is an overachieving Ohio bred that has won 9 of her 10 starts with a 2nd on top of that. And Lilu ran well. I mean, wide, ran well, kind of the only horse making up significant ground. She looks fine here. Have I seen her appear a bit better prior to a race? Yes, I've seen her carry a little bit more of that solid muscle mass and conditioning. And today she's a little bit more tucked up. She's done a lot of traveling, training in Kentucky, out to Oaklawn, back here to Aqueduct. So we'll see how she does. I can't say no at even money, but again, that's a little tough to swallow. And I am concerned, as the guys expressed, with the relative iciness of number 4, Portage, in here. And she doesn't do herself any favors a lot of times because she's one that's very reluctant to switch to that outside lead. And I can kind of see with her mechanics why she is. And I think riders just need to just ride her forward, not worry about her switching leads. But she looks fantastic. One of the best times I've seen her now coming back in here as a 5-year-old. She's really kind of filled out. She's dappled head to toe, very energetic too. So one that does have some early foot. She's coming in here fresh for Kendrick Carmouche, and I'm hoping that she does keep herself engaged more towards the inside. But I'm gonna have to go with her here, Greg, because she just looks really, really good and the best in the field overall.
Well, if you like the 4, more reason to like this 5-year-old mare making her seasonal debut coming up after Maggie's report there. Looks fantastic. And that price now starting to come down a little bit.
Yeah, listen, the Porters who I picked, I have to stick with the picks I make. They're on the website. I picked them on Talking Horses. But given the racetrack and given the scratches, I prefer the 1A here. If I could do it over again, I'd pick the 1A. I mean, I don't mind Portage at 7-2 in here. We'll see if she comes down even farther. The odds on the 8 are ridiculous. I mean, I'm sorry. She's not supposed to be even money in here. Yes, she has that one race, but I don't think she's an even money shot in this field. And I actually really like her, Lilu. I've always kind of liked her, but I just think she's an underlay. We'll see.
Well, finally floats north of even money. 6-5 now. As we get set for the 8th. And it's now down to 3-1 on Portage for Linda Rice. Let's go to Chris Griffin for the call.
And Lilu. Lilu is in. All set. And they're off. Slight stumble there for Lilu at the start. Crypto Mama's asked for speed. Also right there, Taming the Tigress is in that early fray. Joining them is going to be Proudfoot in the early mix. 4 across the racetrack. The one taken back is Portage at the back of the field. At the rail is Crypto Mama. Here's Lilu. And Lilu at 7-5 now puts a head in front. In between horses, though, Proudfoot wants to be right up on the lead. And Proudfoot has now put a head in front. At the rail tight there is Crypto Mama. That's the leading 3. 23 seconds flat for the opening quarter mile. Just off of them, Taming the Tigress took off the early heat, is now ranging back up from 4th, is about to challenge and take 3rd as Taming the Tigress and Isaac Castillo, they're on the move. And from the back, Portage has about 8 to make up. It's now down to 2. On the front end, it's Lilu who continues to go at it with Proudfoot. Proudfoot battles on. Lilu after the stumble is still in hand, and now Lilu with a head in front now kicks on. It's Lilu who's trying to open up on Proudfoot, who continues to just rally on towards the inside. Crypto Mama's trying to get back for more. Taming the Tigress as well. Portage from far, far out of it. Lilu is still clear. It's Lilu in front of Proudfoot, who continues to chase this leader, but it's going to be Lilu. Dylan Davis, give him another one. 4 on the day. Lilu is your winner. Proudfoot finished second. Late run there from Portage in 1:13.3.
4 on the day, yes, for Dylan Davis, and 4 in a row that he has had a mount, and that's going to be his final mount of the afternoon.
And she drifted to 7-5 and won like she should have been 3-5. Portage just not able to keep up in these 6 furlong races. It's bizarre that she has so much speed going longer, but it's the second time at 6 she couldn't keep up. She clunked up for 3rd, but Lilu was much the best in this race, and a big day for Dylan. Another big day for Dylan, I should say.
Huge. Talked about what he'd done a few weeks ago. 9 wins, I believe 12 mounts at one point here, and now he wins 4 straight in races in which he had a mount, and he will not have a mount in the last, so he'll give someone else a chance. Lilu with the victory as the 7-5 favorite here in the 8th. Prices for you when we come back. What a Sunday afternoon for jockey Dylan Davis. 4 straight victories. We'll be back.
Liam's Map, a 2-time Grade 1 winner with 6 consecutive triple-digit buyers, including a 114 to win the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. He's already taking the lead as a sire with Grade 1 winners Basin, Wicked Whisper, Colonel Liam, and Juju's Map, plus multiple 6-figure yearling sales and 2-year-old sales up to $1.2 million. Proven on the track, proven in the sales ring. Liam's Map, only at Lane's End.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Welcome to our viewers joining us on SNY. You're watching America's Day at the Races. Live coverage from Aqueduct in New York and Oaklawn Park in Hot Springs, downtown Hot Springs. The history, lots of character. Paulie, in a town that really does know how to support this terrific racing venue.
Yeah, it really does, and has an old history, baseball history, as well as spring training was once held here between the Negro League players and some of the players of Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig. A lot of people had trained here before in Hot Springs, but they figured out in February it gets a little cold around here.
A little bit chilly, chilly. It was chilly here yesterday. It was raining on a terrific Saturday of thoroughbred racing. You had 4 stakes races and a lot of focus on the 3-year-olds going towards the Kentucky Derby and the Kentucky Oaks, the 3-year-old fillies, and the Martha Washington. All eyes on Denim and Pearl. She was an odds-on favorite. She's about to strike the front. She can't deliver the knockout punch, Paulie, leaving the door wide open for a closer in Band of Gold at 24-1 from off the pace.
Yeah, Denim Pearls kind of did this last time. She hit the brakes as soon as she got to the front end, and Band of Gold was just sitting behind 3, I call them sitting ducks. They were just kind of going on a treadmill in motion, and Brian Hernandez just swung this filly out for Kenny McPeek, and she got the money here, Band of Gold, at a huge price. And, you know, Kenny after the race said, listen, we've been trying to teach her to rate. She won her first time out. When she went long at Fairgrounds, probably had her too close to the pace, but Brian Hernandez, he put on a clinic of riding yesterday, and that was another beautiful ride on Band of Gold.
First win, stakes win for the sire preservationist, Band of Gold. Richie Migliore is with us. How impressed were you, Richie, by what Band of Gold did yesterday here? And in terms of looking ahead to the Kentucky Oaks, how good of a filly do you think we're talking about here?
Well, I don't think there's going to be any distance limitations whatsoever. I think she's going to really appreciate going further. Kenny McPeek said immediately after the race he sees her getting 1.25 miles with no problem, and he was referring to the Alabama in Saratoga, which is contested at 10 furlongs. She had that beautiful, patient, inside-out ride from Brian Hernandez. He saved all the ground, and he didn't angle out. He sifted out to the clear. And when Denim and Pearls kind of got to wandering and looked like she just lost focus to me, his filly really picked him up readily, Band of Gold. So if the Martha Washington was the appetizer, he was just setting up for the main course in the Southwest, where Brian delivered another picture-perfect ride. I think Denim and Pearls, I'm not convinced it's the distance that stops her. You watch when she hits the front, she gets to weaving and kind of losing her focus, but then when she had the filly run by her, she kind of, her stride leveled out, she dropped her head, and she ran on again. I think that's a filly, they got to be real careful on how they time her run, but Band of Gold, she threw her hat in the ring. She's a player.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's exactly what Brad Cox said after the Year's End Stakes when she was defeated at 4-5. She just gets lost when she hits the front. We saw it again yesterday, and this is what we've seen in the history of the Martha Washington here at Oaklawn Park, Paulie, and some of the more notable winners in Wet Paint, last year's Kentucky Oaks favorite, Secret Oath, Take Charge Brandy, and of course, Rachel Alexandra.
Yeah, and I think the other thing you could take out of it is, okay, it was a sloppy racetrack. If it's run over a dry racetrack, do we get a different result? I think that's the key, too. But you saw on the screen some of the great fillies that have won the Martha Washington have gone on to run very, very well. I know Wet Paint was the favorite and disappointed a little bit in the Kentucky Oaks last year, but it's always a key race. And there were some nice fillies in there that I think will bounce back, too, as well.
The next stop, the Honeybee, and then the Fantasy, the most prestigious race for 3-year-old fillies here at Oaklawn. I can promise you one thing, that filly won't be 24-1
right?
in her next stop on the road to the Kentucky Oaks. As for the live racing, continues here on a muddy track. Call to post and a post parade brewing. These $10,000 restricted claimers, 6 furlong dash. And starting with Miss Distinctive, pictured at 6-1. First after the claim, Carl Broberg.
Yeah, Carl Broberg won with his horse yesterday, Jackman. He's having a good meet, is Carl. He gets Francisco Arrieta aboard.
Artistic Vision, the Oklahoma bred, won at Remington in November.
This horse has been in for the claiming tag at 10,000. Rafael Bejarano and Miguel Silva team up here.
Every other one, winless in 11 starts last year.
Yeah, Michael Lauer's only sent out a few here. This one for Penny Lauer and Ramsey Zimmerman.
Number 4, Equilove, Irish filly representing speed.
Yeah, you know, this horse was claimed for 10,000, then brought here by Peter Miller.
A cost of fortune, 3 lifetime wins, all at Oaklawn.
Blinkers come off in 24's race career. This horse has had blinkers on, so this mare, 5 years old, trying to figure something out.
Never Say Let's Go, and Walter Dela Cruz.
Taking some money here. This horse did not have a great beginning last time and made up some ground, and I think a lot of people are looking at that replay.
Shania, favored, 7-5, Oaklawn debut.
The horse to beat in here, the mare, obviously, Cipriano Contreras having a monster meet. You just got to worry about the layoff.
Rocco Bowen on the Illinois bred, Miss Windy Slew.
Yeah, it needs to improve a little bit. 0 for 4 on wet tracks.
That's the field for the 6th here at Oaklawn Park, 3-2. Paulie, wow, with Shania. You had a key scratch of Rockstar Parking, but Shania here, that's a lot to concede.
Well, you know, Shania last year was 0 for 9, and this year she's 2 for 4 lifetime, and now she hasn't been seen since November. I do think the 11 horse on the outside, Distorted Secrets, with the 1 race under her belt, probably helps. You get Harry Hernandez aboard, who brought a big long shot in at $60 in earlier today. So 7-5, I don't know. I thought the 1 was a player here. I thought the 4 could play here. I just don't know if you want to take 7-5 in a field like this.
How about number 1, Miss Distinctive, End Zone Athletics? They were in the winner's circle here yesterday at Oaklawn. Francisco Arrieta, and first after the claim, Carl Broberg, who's very good statistically first after the claim.
Well, you got to love that Carl had this horse for about 4 races, and he did win, and he had a second. He reclaims this mare, and that's always a good sign. You know, whenever you reclaim a mare, you know what you've got, and Carl's sharp.
Richie, speaking of sharp, Shania, who is 7-5. How are you feeling about the favorite in this one?
Yeah, I actually was going to pick the 9-horse Rockstar Parking. She was a late scratch, so I wound up on Shania. But there are a lot of questions. She's never run on an off track. She's never run at Oaklawn. Some horses don't handle this strip, particularly when they have a seal on it like this. I couldn't get past her. I think, you know, listen, when in doubt, I follow Paul. I think Paul has such a great handle on this meet and keeping, you know, tabs on, you know, what is effective here. But, you know, I'm not giving anybody any great information at 7-5. I think there are a lot of questions. I can't bet her at that price, but she was my top choice.
Shania, 7-5.
You know, when you look at the numbers and you look at any kind of number, she does stand out. She really does. Now, you know, she gets back to those races. 2 of her 3 wins have been this year. So is she figuring it out? You know, she might be ultra tough here at 7-5, but is she tough to trust? Yeah, a little bit.
Jonathan, is it the chalk for you and Shania, or were you able to get creative here in this 6th race at Oaklawn?
No, it was tough to get creative here, right? I mean, I think Richie and Paul both kind of covered it, the 7 Shania. The one thing I'll say about this horse is that her last 2 races, which I think are what lead people to kind of lean on her here, were at 6.5 furlongs. And this race is around 6. But if you look at the pace figures of those last 2 races, okay, Timeform US is a pace figure that I love to look at that lets you know how fast horses are running at different points of the race. So it's not just a final number, but a cumulative number that can kind of let you know what's happening throughout little sections of the race. Her pace figures suggest that she's going to run even better going shorter. At 6 furlongs, she was running significantly faster than these other horses, and her final number was actually slower than her 6 furlong number, meaning that she was just getting a little bit tired at the back end of those races. So the cutback for her to the shorter distance. It's not a huge difference in the distance here from 6.5 to 6, but I think the cutback's going to help her quite a bit. I like her a lot in this spot at 3-2, especially with her style, the way that the racetrack's been playing and the way the racetrack looks. Sloppy racetracks, I'm always going to look for horses that are going to be forwardly placed.
Another piece to the puzzle, all adding up to 3-2 with Shania as we've reached post time. Equilove, number 4, Paul. She's quick.
Yeah,
JK was just referencing speed on these types of tracks. That you do recognize that her last start in the mud, she absolutely stopped, and that was her first ever start on a wet track.
Yeah, but I think she's the speed of the speed. I think she does clear this field. Now, whether she's going to like this racetrack or not, I think she might be dangerous on the front end. I think the 7 can lay off her hip, but the 4 is very, very fast. It just remains to be seen whether she can go this far. And let's be honest, she's only had 3 races since October 2022. So fitness could be an issue, although she's had 3 races. But I think the 4 is going to lead him around there for at least a little while.
That's Equilove, the favorite Shania. All sets. Post time, race 6 live from Oaklawn. Matt Dinnerman standing by.
2 back. Miss Windy Slew and Distorted Secrets to round out the field. Here's Distorted Secrets. We're ready to go. They've backed out Miss Distinctive. Gonna reload her. She goes back in. And Leroff. Equilove put into play, has the lead at once, leads by about a length from Miss Windy Slew, runs in the second spot. Distorted Secrets off that leading duo in third, joined by Miss Distinctive. Then the gray Artistic Vision with the favorite Shania joining Distorted Secrets. That trio about 3 lengths off the loose leader Equilove, another 4 lengths back to Cost of Fortune. Every other one is second to last, running 9 lengths off the lead, and she's 4 clear of Never Say No. Let's Go needs to get going as they round the far turn. Equilove flees from the pack as 3 furlongs to go, leads by 2. Distorted Secrets comes out of the crowd, takes the second spot. Miss Windy Slew's plummeting back on the fence, joined by Artistic Vision, Shania. They're moving as a pair. Cost of Fortune on the move right behind them. Miss Distinctive has dropped out of it as they come down the lane. Equilove still clear, the margins 2.5. Distorted Secrets chasing. Shania third, now passed by Artistic Vision. The big favorite's not going to win it. Equilove in contention for the win. She's still on top by 2. Distorted Secrets trying to catch her, but Equilove's still clear. Equilove close to the line. She's just going to get there. Just got there in time over Distorted Secrets. Ran hard, but second best. Third home Artistic Vision. Never Say No, Let's Go ran fourth.
Desperate finish. Things got interesting late, but Equilove just able to hold on wire to wire in these 6 at Oaklawn Park.
Yeah, Ramon Vasquez did the right thing. He sent and committed. The 10 horse, the big lawn shot, was there for a split second. You can see Harry Hernandez imploring the 11 here to try to get home. Distorted Secrets. And here's the key to this race, if you look at it, is Shania off a layoff. A lot of horses off a layoff. Equilove, 3 starts, and the 11 had that start over the racetrack, and it seems like it's been key today. You get 4-1 on the Peter Miller runner.
Equilove 4-1. Results coming up. Oaklawn. We sent things back to Aqueduct, Greg, where the Dylan Davis show continues.
And he's right on it and holding up 4 fingers, and not just 4 wins for Dylan, 4 in a row. Races that he had a mount. Our winner circle leading brought to you by the Lothenbach Stable Dispersal at Fasig-Tipton with 65 entries of breeding stock and yearlings at the Kentucky Winter Mix Sale. February 5th and 6th on site in Lexington, Kentucky. Dylan's day closes out with his 4th winner here, 480 on Lulu. Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
Here with Double D in the house. In fact, Dylan, it's your house today, winning 4 in a row. This one with Lulu, a pickup mount. What's it kind of like as a jockey when you pick up mounts? Kind of You're not expecting to ride them. Do you have time to do homework? Talk about your mindset going into these pickup mounts.
Yeah, sure, Maggie. It was kind of before the races started today, I figured out that I was able to pick up this horse. My horse scratched out of there, so I was open. I was very happy for Ignacio to pick me here and happy to get it done for him. And, I had handicapped the race like I was riding Linda Rice's horse, but, I had him circled like he was one of the horses to beat. So I was really happy that I was able to get on him. And then just watching some replays on him, he had some company early. And then he's really like a real kind horse to ride. He's really quick out of there naturally, and then just kind of like working his way. He had a real tough trip last time. He had some company. Then he had the late closer on him. So with the outside post, he kind of charged the gate, got his feet, had to get his feet going. He stumbled a little bit, and then he got into a good rhythm. And he only had one to beat there on the inside, so he didn't have too much to do. But really easy to ride.
Dylan, also, we've seen you very acutely aware of how the racetrack's playing. It does feel like it has a little bit more of an inside-y flow. You pulled off an upset going back to Uncle Marty a little bit earlier on the card. For that race to work out, I mean, did you see it unfolding down the stretch the way that it did?
Well, it's great to ride for Maker. They don't give you much instructions. I was talking to Nelson. He said, just ride your race. Mike said, just ride your race there. Just watch. He got really hustled out of the race early and didn't really like he would resent that. Riding here every day, I know how the track is playing. The last few races, they scraped the rail and then resealed it so that was able to make it a little tighter. Yeah. I told Nelson I wanted to save some ground. Tucked in, kept him. He was a little struggling there. I just kept him tracked behind Trevor, and then he kept good focus. He got good rhythm. Guys were making moves there early at the half. I said, don't worry. I said, just gonna make it. I'm gonna make the last run, and then I had to go around Trevor there, and I really got into work there at the last 8th mile, and he was able to prevail.
Last move, the winning one per usual. Dylan, keep it up. Great work here at the Big A this winter.
Thanks, Maggie.
All right, Dylan Davis, hot hand, 4 in a row here on this Sunday card, guys.
What a Sunday for Dylan. Talked about how hot he'd been as well earlier in January, having a fantastic meet. And we still have one to come. Dylan won't be part of it. His day done, but the nightcap looks like a very heavy favorite in being bet that right now. Collected special. Maddie Over, will ride the class dropper, who looks very tough to beat in this spot.
I mean, if you want the positives are the horse lays over the field, and that's usually a good thing in horse racing when you're just every race you've run is basically better than any race anyone in the race has run. Horse was entered for 40 the other day. Trainer opted to scratch out to run a 25,000 maiden claimer, but I tell you what, he found the right field, so I can't pick against this horse.
More on this finale, including the post parade, when we come back. That's the horse to beat. Collected special 3-5 favorite. We'll be back. Back on America's Day of the Races on our FS2 coverage. Regional networks with us across the country as well. We got the Nightcap from New York coming up. Plenty more ahead from Oaklawn. Here's our post parade for this finale. State-bred maiden claiming sprint at 6.5. Here's Go Grad.
Ralph D'Alessandro looking for his second win today, but this horse has just done absolutely no running at any point in his career.
We've both liked the Delaware boys in the past.
You know, he did get involved in the heated pace, and he probably ran it better than Arco Augusta last time. It was the 3, but the horse who was the speed finished right behind him.
Arco Augusta 7:01.
Kind of sucked up in a collapsing race last time.
Diane's retiring at 9-2 for the now Dutrow barn. Just move Barnes.
I guess this is the wise guy if you look for somebody else. I mean, I think Charlie Baker's a terrific trainer, but it is switching to Rick Dutrow. So if you want something different, this horse gets the trainer changed to Rick.
6-1 here, Rory's Orchard.
I just don't see a race that makes this horse competitive.
Yeah, and the one to beat. Collected Special 3-5 with Matty Over.
Big day for people named Rory, I guess, by the way, 6-1 on the 6th. I mean, on paper, Collected Special is run against significantly better horses, and it's not like the horses run 8th against them. I mean, you and I don't like endorsing 3-5 shots, and I got no problem if somebody wants to bet against this horse. I'm just not one of them.
Looks tough to beat and has a now graded stakes winning Pilot aboard in this finale as we go to Maggie.
He does, teaming up with the same connections that Matty Oliver won with Super Chow yesterday in the Toboggan, this time around with number 8, Collected Special. And this is a horse that I've only have seen in the past. So one time when he debuted, I actually really liked him that day. I mean, looking at my notes, I actually thought he looked more like a turf horse, but that's neither here nor there at the moment. But that he was big, good-looking, very intelligent head, moved well, and that he looked 90% fit. Like, he just needed a start. And he does look more fit now, even though he is coming in off of a layoff, but has those 3 races on his record. He looks great again here, but it bothers me big time that this horse was scratched in a 40 2 days ago and opted to run here in the 25. I don't know the circumstances, but it does bother me a little bit here. And he can win, and that's fine. But I do, as Andy pointed out, the kind of wise guy horse, number 5, Diane's retiring. I agree. Charlie Baker's amazing. And so I feel like right now his barn probably isn't going well because he just has the same horses that have run through the conditions that they can be competitive at, and you've got to keep a turnover. But what I will say about Diane's retiring that I like here, looking at him now, is that it was a big good-looking type, you know, relative to some of the other fields he's faced, but he just looks more athletic. Like, he's stronger, he's fitter, he puts the blinkers on today, a fairly full cup closing him in for a horse that has not shown any speed. He got a very aggressive warm-up with Sammy Camacho Jr. aboard. So I think they're going to try to put this horse in the game a bit more. JK, I'm not sure if you saw it the same way, but I'm going to take a chance here with Diane's retiring.
Yeah, I mean, look, I get the 8 Collected Special makes a ton of sense in here and drawn towards the outside and has the figures that kind of fit. You know, I was running maiden special weight. But for me, at this price at 1-2, I have no problem, and most will love to joke about that. I have no problem with a short price horse because there's lots of ways that you can make money with short price horses. But all the short price horses that I'm interested in need to check every single box, and they need to kind of feel like 1-2 shots. This one to me doesn't. That's why I kind of landed on the 5. Diane's retiring, puts the blinkers on, switches to Rick Dutrow, switches riders. When you have a lot of things changing, then there's kind of an opportunity for something different to then happen, to have a different outcome. So this is more of a play against the 8 than it is a play on the 5. But at 3-5 on the 8, the Collected Special will have to beat me.
I will say one thing about the connection scratching for 40 to run for a quarter. They were right. Because that was the race that that first-time starter for Chris Englehart won off by the length of the stretch. I don't think that horse was winning that race, so he's kind of on a free roll. So maybe the trainer was right to skip that race for this one. Got to run them where they can win.
JK going to go with the one moving to the Dutrow barn here. This horse ran a competitive race first time out Saratoga last summer against better company.
But if they get this horse to show speed, anything's possible. Because this horse is slow, with a capital slow. But I don't know. But you're right. The first race is not that bad. The first race, isn't good enough to beat the 8 if the 8 runs his races, but at least it's close enough, right?
Yeah, but the bad news, dropped into this level last time out, or at maiden 40, I should say, and showed nothing. We'll see. New barn, equipment change, blinkers on. Will that be the difference? This horse, way the horse to beat. Collected Special, Maddie over. That was her 50th career win, by the way, that graded stakes victory yesterday. Nightcap from New York. Let's go to Chris Griffin.
Collected Special. Last to load. All set. And they're off. Collected Special right out to the front, and Collected Special is the lone leader, is quickly up by, now call it 2. In pursuit is the Delaware Boys, going to stalk from second as this leader gets away. Just off of them is Arco Augusta's out towards the outside, is now there in third. Followed at the rail, that's Go Grad. Second to last, Diane's retiring. The trailer is Rory's Orchard. Collected Special has the lead. It's Collected Special, doing it very easily so far. 23-3 for the opening quarter mile. As they've got 4 furlongs left to go, the Delaware Boys is a lone second, now in pursuit of this favorite. Collected Special and the Delaware Boys, the clear 1-2. Arco Augusta is now asked for the effort. Diane's retiring from the back. Go Grad is losing some ground in the trailer. Rory's Orchard. Can Collected Special keep going? Collected Special trying to fend off the Delaware Boys, who gets much, much closer, is within a length and a half of the leader. 48-3 for that half-mile time. Collected Special now kicks away. It's Collected Special who's still in front. The Delaware Boys, the only one that looks to be within range. It's Collected Special trying to finish this off. The Delaware Boys continues to chase this leader. Collected Special is almost there, approaching the 16th pole. The Delaware Boys just can't cut into the margin. And a memorable weekend for Madison Olver. What a weekend for her, as Collected Special wins the finale. Collected Special over the Delaware Boys. Diane's retiring, and Arco Augusta in 1 minute 22 seconds flat.
Speed advantage, class advantage, and the odds-on favorite at 1-2 takes the nightcap.
And I know it's easy to say this, but the one thing about Madison Olver, when she has a speed horse, she never rates them. And you could laugh at that, but there's other riders around here that like to rate speed horses. And you can be confident she's going to at least let her horse do what it wants to do, and this horse got the job done at 1-2. Wasn't pretty, but the horse was a dominating winner of the race. Gets it done. I think that I could be wrong on this, but I think she loses her bug sometime in about a month or so. So we'll see how that goes. But for right now, she still has the bug, and she gets her second win this weekend. A memorable weekend.
And
according to Chris.
And we're going to talk about her big win, first of her career, when we come back. That was on Super Chow. First stakes win, and it was a graded stakes victory. 50th of her career, and she will certainly remember this one for the rest of her life. We'll have more on it when we come back on our FS2 coverage.
Fasig-Tipton, Kentucky Winter Mixed, featuring breeding stock and yearlings from the complete dispersal of Lotenbach Stables, including Grade 1 winner Bell's the One, and graded stakes winner She Can't Sing, plus mares in foal to these top sires, and yearlings by the sport's leading stallions. Fasig-Tipton, Kentucky Winter Mixed, featuring the dispersal of Lotenbach Stables, February 5th and 6th in Lexington, Kentucky. Where will you be?
Whatever you use to predict future stallion success, breathe slowly and gaze at the desert's first great championship race. Curlin won it. So did Street Cry, Arrogate, and now, in a time even faster than Arrogate's, Mystic Guide. The cold hard fact is, after this, he was rated the best horse in the world. Mystic Guide, new to Darley.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
Thanks for being with us on our Sunday coverage. America's Day of the Races brought to you by Naira Bets. Go to nairabets.com. Get signed up, started. Match 200, that code to use for new members at sign up. Talked about Maddie Olver, and we'll get to her big moment from Saturday in just a second. But here's how she closes out the Sunday card with a victory and an odds-on favorite.
Yeah. Rode a horse on paper that was just better than these horses, but Maddie does nothing wrong. Sends the horse to the front end and controls.
So Collected Special drops in for a tag for the first time, and fourth time the charm. Trevor McCarthy tried to make things interesting on the Delaware boys and unable to get closer than about a couple of lengths in the end. $3.10 to close things out with his big heavy favorite in the finale. Let's go back to Saturday as you see what the pick 5 came back over $1,200, pick 6 over $4,200. Saturday, Toboggan, first stakes win of Maddie Olver's career, and this for this horse, I mean, this was the not plan A, plan B, it was plan C for this horse. Planned to go to Gulfstream, scratched out of there, stake at Laurel, got canceled, so wound up in New York. And Jorge Delgado says, well, I don't get the weight allowance, but I'm keeping her on this horse because she had very good familiarity with Super Chow, and she'd ridden the horse very well.
Well, didn't make any mistakes here. And for people that are watching and saying, well, the horse did drift awfully badly on her. This horse drifts on everybody. So that was not Maddie. That horse was drifting. That's a horse that just drifts. And she got to the front and was able to control the race, and that was all they wrote. She didn't take a lot of money, to be honest, for a horse who was the clear speed. But
4-1 in the end, right?
Yeah. Like a lot of people, I picked her third. I didn't trust this horse either, but he was dominant.
Now, big moment for this young rider. Again, 50th victory of her very young career, and to get a big signature win like that, something that she is never going to forget, and it's got to give her a lot of confidence going forward.
Sure, why not? I mean, you got to be confident. You got to be confident what you do, and no reason she shouldn't be. We'll see how it goes. It's not going to be easy. It's obviously competitive here, and she's going to lose the bug at some point, but we wish her well.
And we wish you well. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
You, I will.
I'm going to be joined by Maggie Wolfedale after a short timeout. We got a lot more coming up from Oaklawn, so stick with us. We'll get back to Lafitte, Paulie, and Mig, and that man right there. Huge chance in the 7th. Their colleague Tom Amos with Thestral, one of the favorites when we come back in the 7th from Oaklawn.
Look at these clowns. Mainline Sports Bar, look at that. Cocktails and axe throwing, Paulie. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, what could possibly go wrong at all? With a little bit of alcohol, and Maggie going with the two-handed axe.
Look at this.
Like she's ready to chop some wood for fire.
Just make sure you have cover. Just make sure you have cover.
Who knew you were a lefty, by the way?
See that? Actually, I'm right-handed. I just wanted to give you guys a chance.
Oh, okay. Because usually, you know, the lefties that I've dealt with in my lifetime, they're always a little crooked in the head a little bit. You're not crooked in the head, so.
Crooked in a lot of things. All kinds of fun for the family at Oaklawn Park Mainline Sports Bar. And you have the horse racing. And a call to post for the 7th. Good allowance race, mile and a 16th fillies and mares. And we start with Luna Moth. And it's all Asmussen here. Steve owns and trains. Keith rides.
Yeah, horse has been off since November, but obviously should be live here with the Asmussen crew.
Highly creative, should be involved early.
Yeah, Chris Landeros and Tom Vanberg having a nice meet, third off the layoff.
Delphia, just her second start on the main track, then a 23-1 shot in Royal Laughter. Hernandez, Rosine with a 29-1 winner earlier.
Yeah, he's looking for another one with Harry Hernandez aboard.
Love this name, Sicilian Grandma, at her best when she makes the lead.
You know, she's got a little bit of a look in here, I think. And I know Mig and I have picked her the last couple times.
Number 7, CC Harbor would be a big surprise.
Yeah, CC Harbor comes from way, way out of it. They need the race to sort of just fall apart.
Thestral. Good luck, Tom Amos.
Yeah, listen, she's the horse to beat. She was giant last time out. That number came out of nowhere. She might bounce a little bit, and this is her main competition right here.
Yeah, you got that right. She's cold as ice. Mike Maker with that $13 winner earlier at Aqueduct.
Yeah, when you're 21 out of 31 in the trifecta, this horse is very honest, does have a win over a wet surface. I understand where the 8 is the favorite off that last race, but the 10, Ramon Vasquez, should be tough in here too.
Strong contention towards the outside. Richie, how'd you see this one unfolding?
Yeah, I thought it was a really intriguing race. The one-horse Luna Moth, I love the post position. You get Keith Asmussen for his dad, Steve, making a second start for in Steve's barn, stretching back out from 7 furlongs. The 6-horse Sicilian Grandma, we did actually pick this horse last time, and I made the joke, you know, I'm married to a Sicilian Grandma, Carmela, but she really didn't have much excuses last time. I mean, she was chasing a bit wide and just flattened out, and I'm getting a divorce from this Sicilian Grandma, not going anyplace else. The Thestral, the 8, is going to be very tough to beat. And of course, we always root for our colleague, Tom Amos. She is carrying 125 pounds. Now, I'm not a big believer in weights unless it comes down to spreads, but there is a certain point where horses start to feel weight. And I really think in that 124-pound and up range, it affects some horses more than others. I wound up on the 10. She's cold as ice. I thought she made an aggressive middle move up the inside. Joel Rosario was taking advantage of an opening that presented itself. But she did a lot in the middle of a race, and a race that, you know, had legitimate fractions. It wasn't like the pace backed up into her face and then she made that move. She ran into the race, and she ran on well. And like Paul said, she's ultra honest, but she does have to overcome post 10, guys.
She's cold as ice. I'm leaving that entire Sicilian Grandma thing alone.
Well, the problem is if you get divorced from the right Sicilian Grandma, you can't get divorced from the other one because then you're going to be a Sicilian man out of a house. Yeah.
Not adding a thing.
That's called fact.
She's cold.
That's called facts.
Thestral, who's 8-5. Let's revisit her latest. This was January 25th, Fairgrounds. In the slop, Paulie, there was a bunch of scratches in this one, but Thestral does everything but win.
Everything but win the race, you're right. And got run down by Tiny Temper in this race and was actually your slight favorite. The horse that beat this horse was your second choice. You could tell, I thought Edgar Morales got a little bit confident and he started to ride the horse a little bit, and then they started exchanging little bumps, and I think it woke up Tiny Temper a tiny bit, and he's just going to get out-finished here late. Now, they're well clear of the third-place finisher, about 10 lengths. Now, that's the biggest race she's ever run, so you worry if she backs up a little bit from there, is she vulnerable? But her other races in the 75, 77 range they're still competitive with here. But if she is the one to bounce, the 10, She's as Cold as Ice, is always around that same area.
Thestral, that was her first start on a wet track. Perfect trip. She fired, she battled, and we'll see what she does here. Second start on a wet track, and it does feel like a two-horse race going in, and that's how it's being bet. Polly Thestral 8-5. She's as Cold as Ice, anything but second choice. Strong second choice, 9-5.
No, money's coming for Sicilian Grandma. I think people thinking that maybe she'll go to the front end in here and be the horse, but I thought the 2 had some speed in here. I thought some others could maybe get to the front end. I also think Thestral won't be too far out of it. Knowing Tom Amos, he likes to give instructions instead of like Mike Maker. He probably told Christian Torres, listen, let's get out of the gate, get position, and be where we were the last couple races, just sort of stalking the leaders.
Yeah, perched right off the leaders in that Fairgrounds effort late January. She's as Cold as Ice emerging as the choice as they file into the gate. Matt Ditterman with the call. It's post time, race 7, live from Oaklawn.
Creative, she goes in. Delpha. Thestral. Thestral goes in. Delphia's taken her spot. One back. She's Cold as Ice. We're ready to go. And Leroff. Sicilian Grandma out alertly, takes back. Here's Delphia to have a share of the lead with Highly Creative. Those two together with Sicilian Grandma right far off. Luna Both down on the inside into the turn. Thestral kept out of harm's way on the outside, followed by She's Cold as Ice. She broke on the outside, and she's all the way on the rail now with Royal Laughed with a long shot. CC Harbor well behind, at least 20 lengths off the lead. As they approach the backstretch run, Highly Creative finds herself in front. Leads a length and a quarter. Delphia concedes the lead. Stalking now in the second spot. Then a line of 3. Thestral is there. Moving up, passing runners to claim third clearly. Then comes behind horses. Luna Moth down on the inside. Sicilian Grandma between horses. A length and a half in front of She's Cold as Ice and Royal Laughter. Big gap to CC Harbor, who would have to do something special to win it from there. With a half mile to go, Highly Creative. Chris Landeros seeking his second win on the card. Hits the far turn, still clear. Thestral gets a giddy-up reminder, responds, and comes up to challenge that front runner, Thestral. Now, She's Cold as Ice is making her move, and she's 3 wide all the way into third now. Luna Moth has come under a hard ride. The others have dropped out of it. Looks like Royal Laughter's trying to come on. CC Harbor passing runners, but has a lot of work to do as they come off the turn. Thestral and Highly Creative are side by side. She's Cold as Ice in the 3 path continues to charge hard. She's Cold as Ice with the momentum here. Thestral behind in second. Highly Creative gives way. Luna Moth extreme outsides coming with a late surge. Luna Moth on the outside coming quickly, and Luna Moth and Keith Asmussen strike the front. Luna Moth with a well-timed ride gets there to win it. She's Cold as Ice was second. CC Harbor, actually a very good run from her after being so far back early. She ran third. Thestral checked in fourth.
A really good run, CC Harbor from far back. She's as Cold as Ice. Strikes the front right here, but watch Keith Asmussen and the white cap wheels to the outside. And Luna Moth extends her stride and runs down the leaders.
Yeah, and you could see Ramon Vasquez. He saw Keith Asmussen. He tries to get the 10 to the outside to see the runner, to see the one, but the one Luna Moth had all the momentum. And Kelsey Haar in the 7 were rolling late from way out of it to spice up your trifecta here. This is going to be 7-1 over 2-1 over 40-1. And Thestral, you know, had to go wide and was wide most of the way. I looked at you, I'm like, was this the plan to be 4 or 5 wide all the way around the racetrack? It just didn't work out.
Came up empty late off the board. Luna Moth takes advantage. All Asmussen all the time. Steve, the owner, of course, the trainer. Keith, the winning pilot. Luna Moth, third lifetime win, making her Oaklawn debut. A winning one. Right when it looked like, Paul, the filly you like, the mare you like, She's as Cold as Ice, had him put away late.
Yeah, and you look like she idled a little bit. She got to the front end, and, you know, she does have 9 seconds, but she has 6 wins, and she had a perfect trip. She was up the, Ramon gave her a great ride, got her up the rail, then got her to the outside, and collared the front runners. It looks like she was home and cooled out, but then she started hitting the treadmill a little bit. Almost like the race yesterday in the Martha Washington, how just the one Luna Moth was grinding away. You don't know if Luna Moth was actually moving forward, or the 10, She's Cold as Ice, was backing up. But you take nothing away from this filly by Ransom the Moon. Can't leave another day without the Athisons winning a race, right?
No. Her first start on a wet track, a winning one. And you saw Thestral actually wound up at 6-5. She's as Cold as Ice, 2-1. But in the end, a 7-1 shot through the Moth. Race 7, Oaklawn. And when we come back, the 2-year-old champ Fierceness, 3-year-old debut yesterday in South Florida. In the Holy Bull, not what most of the racing world was expecting from start to finish.
DeMarchelier offers breeders a rare opportunity as the only son of Dubawi standing in Kentucky. Dubawi, one of the world's most celebrated stallions, is now a sire of sires. This son of Dubawi brings one of the world's most potent bloodlines to America. On the track, his recent top runners include these star performers. DeMarchelier, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Nominate now for this year's Fasig-Tipton Selected Yearling Sales. The July Sale. A strong market for precocious and athletic yearlings that attract the sport's leading end users. Last year, 40% of yearlings sold brought $100,000 or more. The 103rd Saratoga Sale. The crown jewel of American yearling sales, Saratoga set new sale records for the second year in a row, including the highest price yearling sold in the world in 2023.
Tice upstairs, $4 million even.
New York bred yearlings, the #1 marketplace for New York breds, held during the Saratoga race meet. Selected sales, superior results. Visit selectedyearlings.fasigtipton.com to nominate now and rise above the crowd at our 2024 Selected Yearling Sales.
The sun shines bright on Caraconte. His first crops of racing age are showing brilliance on the racetrack with a high percentage of stakes winners. His versatility is evidenced by winners on all surfaces across the globe.
Spandarella could not have been more impressive.
The sun shines bright on this value sire.
Fair down 25, fair down 25, fair down. Thank you. Right here, 525,000.
Caraconte, standing at Gainesway.
Thanks for spending part of your Sunday with us on America's Day at the Races. Is always brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Nice beach cruiser, man. And Debo have a beach cruiser? Luna Moth, Keith Asmussen for his
Give me back
dad.
my chain.
Keith with Richie standing by. Mick.
And Keith contributed a really well-timed ride here. Keith, I think the key to it was getting that position going into the second turn along the inside.
Absolutely. Going into the first turn, I had a huge smile on my face. She got away cleanly and was very relaxed down the backside. You know, got her going a little early because she is kind of one-paced, and it's not something you want to be super passive with her. The first time I rode her is 7/8 at Churchill, and I was working horses this morning, and I was telling Darren Fleming, I was like, oh man, Luna Moth mile on the 16th, we're going to be golden.
Well, that brings me to my next question. You get on a lot of horses for your dad almost every day, and is Luna Moth one of the ones that you get on a regular basis?
Absolutely. You know, just anything and everything. Love building a relationship with the multitude of horses that we have. She's a perfect example. Took everything off her head, no figure eight, and she's, you know, really relaxed and come into herself.
You hail from one of the greatest racing families in North America. Obviously, your Uncle Cash, one of the premier riders, and it revolutionized the way they rode over in Europe, particularly in France. What's it like for you to be a part of that and have the success that you've been having?
Just excellent feedback, and more importantly, just the opportunity to be around a lot of horses, because at the end of the day, like, people can tell you stuff, but I mean, the experience you get with horses and the repetitions is where you really learn your horsemanship.
Well, I really have been taken with how much you've improved in your finish. You really tightened up. Obviously, you're a taller rider. Is that something that you kind of had to learn to deal with, how to kind of shape your body to fit the horses?
Absolutely, and just a lot of feedback from riders of similar physiques. You know, it's like wider knees, so I'm like shorter riders, their knees are a little closer together, but they can still get low. I got quite a bit of legs, so I'm a little stretched out, but it allows me to get lower. And it's just working with different things and practicing.
Well, you look terrific finishing. I'm really proud of you. And guys, Keith has done all this improvement without the benefit of ever actually having ridden with an apprentice allowance. And I can't tell you how difficult that is. He is really just continually improving, and that was a terrific ride.
It's incredible. You can't wipe that smile off his face, and understandably so. Luna Mott, 1660. To lend perspective, Richie was a tall jockey. Richie Migliore is tall for a rider, and how much taller Keith is than Mig.
No, but you could tell he's almost like a second trainer. Oh, we put took a different bridle on and put something else on the horse. It's just like the kid's education when it comes to a racehorse is bar none because of his background. He sat there and watched races. He sat there and watched his father, watched his uncle. By the way, his grandfather still breaking horses in Texas too as well. So just the knowledge of all that, I think that Keith has soaked it all in. And Mig's right. He keeps on getting better and better. And just like anything else, if you're a taller player, smaller player, I was a smaller type of guy when it came to be a catcher. You just learn to deal with it, and you learn how to, I guess, harness your weaknesses and make your strengths even better. And I think that's what Keith is doing. He's telling himself, hey, I need to get lower. He's practicing a little bit more. And the best thing is he's asking for advice, and that's the best advice you can get from guys that have done it before.
But another challenge, and already a demanding profession, that tall, fighting his weight is that much more of a challenge. Greg Wolf standing by in New York, now joined on the set by Maggie Wolfendale. It might not have been the 4-win afternoon that Dylan Davis had at Aqueduct, but a big win here for Keith Asmussen, and always that much more special to do so for his father.
We've seen him really grow up on this program the last couple of years. Can't hurt, too, having an uncle that, Mig says it a lot, but who completely changed the way that riders in Europe ride their horses.
Yeah.
I mean, still to this day.
Yeah, and too, I love getting to talk horses with either Keith or his younger brother, Eric. They're so passionate about it. So it's great to see him winning races and the development, and they truly are horsemen. I really appreciate jockeys and riders who are horsemen first and foremost.
Now we're going to say, Dad, give us some of those primo mounts for Keith.
Yeah. Let me get on the greatest stakes winners, Dad.
Looking back, we're going to go back to Saturday. Important day on that road to the first Saturday in May for the Kentucky Derby, and you got to earn it on this Triple Crown road. As we saw in the Holy Bull, 2-year-old champion Fierceness went bad really from the beginning here from him.
Yeah, he had this outside draw, right, where we see the winner, Hades, break well from the rail, establish that position. He gets bumped around here, and Johnny's really going to have to fight to get forward position with him. It was kind of the same thing that we saw going back to the Champagne, where he didn't break that day. Now, albeit that was a one-turn race, you get hung wide on this first turn here at Gulfstream. It's never a good thing. So I have always somewhat had some reservations about Fierceness. I didn't particularly like him when I saw him in the paddock for the Champagne that day. Obviously, there was trouble there. But he's a smaller, slighter horse where, he's not going to handle being bumped around. It's going to kind of knock the wind out of him. He's going to be intimidated easily. Sometimes, size does matter, and I think it really matters when we're dealing, too, with these horses that are developing. These bigger, stronger types, they're going to win these races, and you can see this Florida-bred Hades, 3 for 3 in his young career so far. Joe Orsino, I liked what he had to say after the race, too, Greg, and that he said, I had him ready for this race, and he said, I know, and he's had really nice horses in his barn throughout his long career, I know how to have a horse ready for a campaign. This one, we're taking it one step at a time, and he's said he's getting there with each and every start, and he showed a lot of gameness yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, you might remember this barn from years ago. He beat Fusaichi Pegasus in the Red Bullet. That was with Red Bullet in the Preakness on that wet track a long time ago. He's had Macho Uno, Perfect Sting, some big names many years ago, and now back on the big stage with potentially a major player on the road to that first Saturday in May. A look at your Saturday prep winners. Obviously, Nysos, probably the most impressive winner, will not be able to compete in the Kentucky Derby because he's in the barn of Bob Baffert, and his owners have stood by him, said we're going to pass on the Derby. Very likely going to show up in the Preakness.
Yeah, or for us, hopefully the Belmont, which will be up in Saratoga this year. But yeah, Nyso's earning that 105 buyer speed figure yesterday, and he showed a new dimension. He looked so comfortable rating with Flavien Prat aboard yesterday, and then when he produced him on the outside, he was there and he glided away. He is a big, strong, formidable-looking colt. So, you know, as I was just talking to you about the Derby off air here, the Derby, in modern days, yeah, everybody wants to get to it, but they rush to get to it. And furthermore, it's not a race, it's more of a spectacle. And I feel like so many horses don't come out of it. So it's a race that you can't necessarily use in further handicapping because there's so many trips and there's just so many factors that go into winning a Derby. At the end of the day, I feel like you just have to have luck on your side. And I'm a person who likes long careers, and I want these horses sticking around. I want to see them up in Saratoga for the Travers, the Haskell, and then taking on older horses in the Breeders' Cup Classic.
Meanwhile, Grade 3 Southwest, still, it's the race that most people you talk to, it's the one race everybody wants to win.
There's so much lead up, anticipation.
Kenny McPeek, what a Saturday he had. Winning the Kentucky Oaks Prep, winning the Derby Prep, Mystic Dan on that wet track. 101 buyer in that performance.
And what a ride by Brian Hernandez.
Let's bring in Jonathan Kinchin for more on what we saw on Saturday in that Southwest, JK.
Yeah, look, I mean, Mystic Dan was impressive, right? It wasn't one of those kind of like late-running closing trips where it falls apart in front of the horse and he kind of gets up at the wire and nails the competition. He kind of made that move that you have to make in the Kentucky Derby, where at the 8th pole, he was kind of starting to advance his position and starting to get to the front, and then he ran away from them late, winning by open lengths. The issue with Mystic Dan, and I think it's only an issue until he runs again, is that although Mystic Dan got a very fast number, right, that triple-digit buyer situation that we just mentioned with Nysos, he ran fast, but why did he run so fast? And I think some people who watch a lot of racing at Oaklawn Park might think that the inside was where you wanted to be. Bias is a tricky thing, but I will relate it to this as easy as possible, is that think about when you're walking on the beach and there's that part of the sand or of the beach that's a little bit moist. It's got a little bit of moisture to it. It's easier to walk on. Now, racetracks are not that pronounced in the difference between the deep, dry sand and then the wet sand from the tide, but it is an example of how certain paths can be easier than others, and it suggested that maybe the inside was that easier path, which kind of propelled Mystic Dan. We won't really know until horses run back from the day, which will happen sooner than later, but he still deserves some credit. He ran extremely well that day, yesterday, and it was very impressive. Look, I think he deserves the credit that he's getting, and he's definitely an interesting horse moving forward. And then to the point you guys were making earlier about Nysos, it's a shame, right? Because although Maggie's point is one that I can wrap my brain around, that it's not always about just the Kentucky Derby. It's about careers and long careers. But man, when you have an undefeated 3-year-old who's won by 10, 7, and 8 lengths, it's exciting to think what could be. And unfortunately, we won't know what could be in terms of a Triple Crown or a Kentucky Derby with Nysos.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but makes it, who knows, maybe he winds up being this killer that he's been, and it makes it wind up being a better race. Because if he's as good as it looks like he is right now, everyone's probably saying, well, we dodged one to this point. Here's the upcoming road to the Derby right now. Sam F. Davis, we thought we were going to see Fierceness's stablemate locked in that race, and now he will not run in that race.
Yeah, unfortunately, spiking a fever in the couple days leading up to the Sam Davis. So they're gonna go with a horse who's never been on the dirt, Greg. Baggett Road.
Yeah, well, been better on the turf. I believe didn't debut. I think a race came off potentially.
Oh, maybe it was.
But yeah, it's been no question.
Yeah.
It's been a turf horse to this point. Going to give him a shot, though, on the Triple Crown Trail. See what happens. That's coming up next week. Still trying everyone to get their heads around what happened on Saturday with that monster upset. We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back. More coming up from Oaklawn when we return. 11 minutes away from their 8th on the muddy going in Hot Springs. Stay with us. Back with you on our FS2 coverage. Regional networks across the country, February 15th. That's when tickets go on sale for this year's Belmont Stakes at Saratoga. Mark it on your calendar. Last year, still, I mean, one of the great moments probably in the history of the sport with what happened.
Absolutely. I still get chills watching that footage, thinking about it. It was such a feel-good moment watching Jenna Antonucci become the first female trainer to win a classic, and in dramatic fashion as well.
You look at that now, that drone shot there. It's still hard to believe the Belmont is going to be in Saratoga.
Yeah, but it is what we have to do while Belmont is under construction. I drive by it every single evening or to and from here, and they are doing so much over there. So looking forward to hopefully being back there in a couple years for a traditional.
It's going to be fun, though. In the meantime, it's going to be a blast.
Absolutely.
Get your tickets. They're going to go fast for this year's edition. And rooms, if you have not booked them yet,
good luck.
You're going to have to stay maybe Albany.
Yeah. And they go on sale February 15th.
8th at Oaklawn. 6 furlong sprint, state bred race, allowance optional claiming field, and Kaboom Baby taking a ton of money right now.
Yeah, Kaboom Baby coming in here for Ernie Witt, second off of a layoff, second last time to Cantex too. It's an interesting race. You know, I think that Connie K has a little bit of a pace advantage though.
Coming out for the post parade, let's get back to Lafitte and Paul.
You have your place yet reserved for the Belmont up at Saratoga?
No, you
Paulie?
know what I'm most, I don't care where, I'll stay in a sleeping bag. You know, everybody talks about the opening day, the rush of the opening day. What's going to be the rush when they open up the gates?
The running of the bulls.
The running of the bulls, yes.
Madness.
You might want to bring a helmet and a mask if you're a security guard as they run into for the Belmont weekend.
We don't know where we're staying, but we can't wait. Belmont Stakes at Saratoga. Here at Oaklawn, where it has started to rain once again. Of course, dealing with a muddy track all afternoon. Arkansas breds here. 6 furlong sprint. Look at that purse, $143,000.
Beautiful thing, isn't it? It is a beautiful thing. And we just got a visit from Matt Dinnerman, the track announcer, and he was talking about even the $144,000 races are fun to call. They're almost like mini stakes races.
His first graded stakes race at Oaklawn on Friday in the Bayakoa. Great work yesterday with the 4 stakes races and the Southwest. And he'll be on the mic very shortly, 5 minutes out till this 8th race at Oaklawn. As Greg and Maggie mentioned, Kaboom Baby getting crushed at 6-5. Doesn't have to deal with Cantex today. That's good news. We'll revisit her most recent effort in a moment. Right after we go through this post parade, Kaboom Baby 6-5, heavily backed. Eventually starting with Amazing Debate.
Sooner or later they're going to turn here.
There she is. We almost stretched just long enough. Off the board, 3 tries on wet tracks. Amazing Debate.
Do not throw this horse out. I'm telling you right now, Joey Belmer can ride. This horse is getting 14 pounds, and at 17-1, that's a ridiculous price.
Aptly named mare, Hot Springs Bling, Johnny Court, then the favorite, Kaboom Baby.
This horse launches from way out of it and loves
Yeah,
Oaklawn Park, 13 for 16. She's very, very consistent.
Gramercy Park exits the same race as Kaboom Baby, non-factor.
You know, this one for Johnny Ortiz. Every once in a while, she'll throw in a bang-up race. So at 18-1, I wouldn't argue.
Unbridled Twister, she exits the common race January 13th.
The horse got left and then rolled late, and it showed speed before. Taking money for Al Cates.
Speaking of closers, Solway, 13-1 upset winner last month.
Yeah, rolled from way out of it at 13-1 for Ronnie Moquette.
Connie K, number 7, she's quick and a threat.
Complete agreement with Maggie. Connie K has a complete pace advantage on this field. She has not been able to clear a field in a while. Now, has the courage gone away? It remains to be seen. We'll see it today.
Hissy Missy, another from that January 13th heat. And finally, Too Pretty, idle since last July.
You know, Daniel Pites won 2 races yesterday, one at 20-1, one at 11-1 on a sloppy racetrack. And Too Pretty does have some back class, this 7-year-old mare. And we got to give it up to Danny Ritchie because he's a Mets fan.
No, I just gave the wrong numbers to our guys behind the scenes, so I apologize. But I do want to start with the one Amazing Debate, who I actually do think is too big a price as well, Paul. I agree. You get Joey Belmier. I rode with his dad, Ben, who is a veterinarian in Kentucky now. He's 19 years old. And right outside of him, you got John Court on Hot Springs Bling, who is 63 years old. So I think you got maybe the youngest guy or one of the youngest guys in the room, and obviously the older guy in the room, and John Court. And I've given John Court a new nickname. It's Ponce, as in Ponce de Leon, the guy who discovered the fountain of youth. I think John is still such a capable rider, and I'm always happy when I see him have success. The 7, Connie Kay, and I'm really curious to get your take on it, Paul. I think she turns out to be the speed of the speed here. I think she controls this from the outside here under Manny Esquivel. Third start off the layoff. She improved in her first start from the first start to the second start, excuse me. And I think she's going to take a lot of catching here. Obviously, the 3, Kaboom Baby's the horse to beat. I told our group I was talking about the 9. I meant the 3. She's a very deserving favorite, but I just think Connie Kay could have a pace advantage here. Paul, you think she gets loose?
I was mentioning it earlier. I think she does, Lafitte. I was talking about it. And my worry with Connie Kay, last time she went out, I thought she was going to be loose. That's why she got bet. Now, Cantex won that race. Cantex came back against Open Company. Yesterday did not run well. But she has not really been able to get under 45 in a while, and she might be able to get it. Now, the one time she did get 46 over racetrack, she lost to Summer Shoes. Kaboom Baby has beaten her a couple times. I'm just worried that maybe does she still have that courage that she used to have to get to the wire.
Paulie, Richie, Maggie, all saying, look out. Connie Kay, her speed, 5-2. But Kaboom Baby, well, she does her best running from far back. This was her latest. For many in here, their latest. Familiar foes, January 13th. Kaboom Baby closes well, but no match for Cantex, who got a dream run up the rail.
Yeah, dream run up the rail. You see Cantex going to sneak up the rail, and Kaboom Baby completely, well. On the complete outside of the racetrack. And Louis Q, he's ridden this horse in all 17 of her starts, and he knows when to produce her. She's run some good races over sloppy racetracks, too, as well. She's 5 for 6 in the trifecta. She's going to be the one to hold off. I don't know about even money, because I think there's some horses in here, like the 9 Too Pretty, that's got some back class. There's some other horses in here that do have some back races to go to. But if Kaboom Baby shows up, she's going to be really tough.
And she doesn't have to set up shop so far back.
No.
She's been effective, and she has won when she's been closer to the pace, more in a stalking position. Kaboom Baby, even money. Then number 6 in Solway. Carlos Hernandez aboard for Ron Moquette, 8-1. Her most recent, January 6th in the mud. She's 13-1. And watch here, Solway, Paulie. She winds up launching from far back and winning out in the center of the track because of what happened as she was trying to get out of the blocks.
I remember asking Ron Moquette after this race, I said, what made you ride Carlos Hernandez? He goes, it's the first time I've ridden this guy. He beat me the other day, so I might as well ride him. And Carlos gave this horse an unbelievable ride to stay busy. I will say this. If you look at Solway, this is the horse that moves up most on the wet track. I don't know if she's good enough, but her best races have been over wet surfaces. She's run a good, this race right here we just saw, she's run a good second going a mile in the 16th. So she's had some success over a wet track, so she's dangerous from off the pace.
But that's so, like Kaboom Baby, we said, is a little more versatile.
Yeah.
From a tactical perspective, that is Solway. Whether she stumbles, whether she gets left, it doesn't matter. She is at her best. Drop anchor, make one run.
Yeah, but she needs somebody to go with Connie Kay, because if Connie Kay is able to control this and go about 45, 46, somewhere in that area and be in front by herself. Now, Mig talks about it. We talk about it a lot of times here at Oakland. Riders are not afraid to send. Now, a couple runners in here in their last race did not break as well. Will they break better today to keep Connie Kay company? But the more I keep on looking, the 1 is a horse that's pretty slow. 2 is a bad gate horse. The 3 launches. The 4 is a horse that comes from way out of it. The 5 just came from way out of it. That's a horse that maybe can show some speed.
Sometimes
you just keep on going on, and
Too Pretty to the outside.
It's got sprint speed going long, but that might put Too Pretty in a good spot.
Yeah, on the cut back in distance.
Yeah.
Connie Kay still, she looks like the Like she does have a serious edge in terms of race shape. We'll see how it all unfolds. Connie Kay, number 7, 5-2. Look for her to break sharp and go after the lead. Kaboom Baby, though, the favorite. Even money with Luis Quinones. We're all set for the 8th on a Sunday in the mud here at Oaklawn. Matt Dinneran standing by.
Gramercy Park and Connie Kay. 2 back, Hissy Missy. Into the outside, Too Pretty. To round out the field. Here comes Too Pretty. We're ready to go. And Lyra. Connie Kay blasts out of pose 7, gets to the front. Too Pretty on the outside right there, close up as well. Connie Kay with a nose lead. Too Pretty right there to challenge. They're head and head down the backstretch. Gramercy Park runs in the 3rd position with Kaboom Baby, the favorite, down on the inside. Here's Hissy Missy moving up, passing both runners, claiming 3rd down the backstretch. Hot Springs Bling, she's next with the other gray. Unbridled Twister and a 3-deep Sulway. Amazing Debate, the early trailer. 7 or 8 lengths from the top pair, who continue to spar on the lead. Inside, Connie Kay's trying to stick with Too Pretty. Hissy Missy trying to get by those leaders now. 3 wide sent along. She's only about a length off Connie Kay, who has the head lead approaching the quarter pole. Sulway is underway. She's 4 wide, but making her move towards the leaders at the top of the lane while Kaboom Baby rides the rail. Coming off the turn, Connie Kay kicks away 2.5 lengths. Sulway continues to charge. Kaboom Baby 3rd needs to quicken. Sulway grandstand side after Connie Kay, who digs in. Connie Kay, Sulway 2nd, and 3rd Kaboom Baby trying to come on late, but it's Connie Kay fending them all off. Connie Kay and Manny Esquivel take them the distance. Kaboom Baby was 2nd, photo for 3rd. Amazing Debate came on late to be in that photo with Sulway.
That's a gutty mare and a gutty effort. Connie Kay taking all kinds of fire and heat from Too Pretty in the early stages of this 6-furlong sprint, turns back all challengers and holds on in the 8th at Oaklawn, closing at 8-5. Wow.
And the key was, what do we say? 46 and change Lafitte. That's what she needed, and she showed grit, you're right, because she got a challenge from Too Pretty. And I told you Joey Bellemere would be rolling up the rail with that one. He got a little tight there towards the end. But this kid sticks to the rail, and he was trying to find a little bit of room. Just ran out of real estate, but give credit to Manuel Esquivel, who stayed busy. And Randy Morris, again, this guy is a heck of a trainer. 1:11-2 stopping the clock. This is a nice little Arkansas bred. She's a neat horse. She hasn't won in 2 years, and counting obviously 2024, but finally gets the job done, and she's at the backlash, and she reached back today for it.
Homebred. Morse, along with Randy Patterson, owner, breeder, Randy Morse trainers you mentioned. Manny Esquivel, who won the nightcap yesterday with an outsider, strikes with Connie Kay at 8-5. And the winner's share of this $140,000 purse. That'll work.
You got to love it, don't you? 5-year-old mare, and now she's upwards up to $450,000.
That'll work.
In earnings.
Just too fast to catch. Connie Kay strikes in the 8th at Oaklawn Park. Results, reaction as our coverage continues from Oaklawn. Here on Fox Sports 2, you're watching America's Day at the Races.
They're off in the 2023 First Crop Sires race. Maximum Mischief makes the lead with the most 2-year-old maiden special winners by any sire. On the backstretch, Mitoli and Omaha Beach close the gap. With stakes performers from coast to coast, Vino Rosso finds his best and leads on the turn with 4 Grade 1 colts on dirt. But it's Mitoli with his 3rd TDM Rising Star, your champion freshman, leading an impressive Spendthrift Superfecta.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with NYRA Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with NYRA Bets.
Breeders' Cup champion Good Magic by Sire of Sires Curlin was the sire of first crop Kentucky Derby champion Mage, one of 3 Grade 1 winners to date, along with Muth and Blazing Sevens. In 2023, with just 2 crops to race, Good Magic ranked 21st on the general sire list with $9.5 million in earnings. 2-year-olds sold for up to $2 million, and yearlings sold for up to $725,000. Good Magic, the classic sire.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races. Sights around town, out in Hot Springs. Still have not been there yet.
What?
I know.
You haven't been to Hot Springs?
No, I'm in studio. I'm going to get on that gang that gets out there. Mainly because I want to go to DeLuca's part of it.
Oh, yes. That should be number 1 on your list. The second on my list is a spa now at the hotel.
Oh, really? Is that good?
Yeah, the spa's really nice there.
I'll mark it down. I need a room with a view, too.
You'll
Connie
get one.
K with the victory. Manuel Escobar for Randy Morse. And, yeah, the guys talked about how much he's earned now, over $450,000 for a sire that stands for $1,500.
That's amazing. And she was so gritty with this victory here, Greg. I was concerned when the 9 showed speed, who was turning back in distance. I didn't necessarily foresee that happening. She was down on the inside. Yeah, the inside's been good at Oaklawn, but now she's going to fend off challengers from her outside and her inside. And she just, you can see, she wants it. She lowers her head, stretches it out, and she picks up her 6th career win in 20 starts now.
Yeah, first win since November of 22 for Connie K. $5.40 for the victory. 6th win of her career, 20 tries. So 6-year-old mare with more left in the tank. As we set up the 9th allowance optional claiming field, mile and a 16th. And a good race to close things out for our coverage. There's a 10th. We won't be bringing you their finale, but we'll bring you this 9th here. Right now, even money. One more Kelly. Very short price.
Wow, that is a short price on your rail runner in here. I suppose has the most consistency coming in here for Kenny McPeak, Julien Leperoux, and had some trouble in her last start, to be fair as well. I thought a little bit of a price horse was interesting with number 5 Into Disco.
Yes.
Oh, good. You like her too. I like it. That maybe, I know she hasn't, she's had trouble staying on the racetrack, but her race prior to the poor one and then the subsequent layoff makes her a major player.
Yeah, I thought that was the best race anyone has maybe
Yeah.
in this field. Public, though, going with the Hot Barn. It's been a good weekend for Kenny McPeak.
I'd say 2 stakes wins on yesterday's
Yeah, Martha
card.
Washington, Southwest, 2 good ones to win, including this victory with Mystic Dan, who is squarely on that Derby trail now with that performance. More on what he accomplished Saturday when we come back.
If you walk around the Oaklawn backstretch, you'll notice that the barns don't have numbers. The barns instead are named in honor of horses significant to Oaklawn's rich history.
Here come two champions, side by side. Heavenly Prize to the outside and Pansiana right there. And Zenyatta flies to the lead in the middle of the track. And it's Marty Jones, one step forward to Kentucky, and one giant step to $5 million.
It's time to make some memories.
American Pharoah, breathtaking in a mesmerizing performance.
The Oaklawn handicap and #1 rating will go to Cigar by 2.5. The champion Azeri, here she comes down the middle, and she does it!
40 barns named after 40 important horses, all who helped to contribute to Oaklawn's rich history in their own way.
Curlin is going to decimate this field, winning the Arkansas Derby by 9 lengths.
It's time to make some memories.
So many racing greats with compelling storylines and ties to Oaklawn.
Whitmore win time, Whitmore!
That perfect theme music, those names, those memories, those moments, some of the very best that have ever performed in this sport right here at Oaklawn Park. And thanks for joining us on this Sunday afternoon, America's Day at the Races. We don't know if he's going to be one of the best ever. What we can tell you is that Mystic Dan is on his way and taking one big step towards the Kentucky Derby with his performance yesterday in the Southwest Stakes, earning 20 points. And a lot of it had to do with his jockey, Paulie, in what Brian Hernandez did from that post and where he winds up on the first turn.
Well, I want you to focus on just how handy the horse breaks for Brian. You got to love his ears up are already. And what he does here, he's going to take the position of the 6 horse here in Liberal Arts and Christian Torres right here. Christian Torres trying to get the 6 up the rail. He's going to have to tap the brakes just a split there. And who ends up running third? It would end up being Liberal Arts. But he was able to save the ground. And when Christian talked to Mig after the race, he said, listen, I knew I was loaded. And when I just squeezed at him, he took off. Now, you could say whatever you want, inside or not, but he was floating over the top of this strip and made it look very easy. You're going to see Liberal Arts here late get up for third. Might have been a little bit different if you wouldn't have had to steady just that touch, though, but Just Steel hung on for second. But no doubt about Mystic Dan. What I loved about it, he broke out of the gate so well and so handy. And I like Mig to talk about it. Just he put himself in that position. Now, Brian Hernandez gets all the credit to get to the rail from the 10-hole before the first turn is amazing. But the horse allowed him to do that with the sharp break and gave him the chance, okay, show me I'm versatile. And here's a horse that had shown speed, and they changed tactics yesterday, and the horse was so kind.
Yeah, Richie, Mystic Dan brought his A-game. Brian Hernandez brought his A-game yesterday.
Well, it's a highlight reel ride. Brian Hernandez, to me, as good as he's done, he's won a Breeders' Cup Classic, is probably, you know, one of the most underrated riders in North America. Consistently delivers those patient, ground-saving, smart rides, perfectly timed. But Paul used the right word here, handy. Having a horse that handy, Mystic Dan, to be able to shifty enough to get over to the fence, move into a spot, idle, like driving a sports car, right? You can get into a spot and sit. He doesn't get ranked. He waits for the rider's cues. And this is a horse that possesses a great deal of natural speed. We've seen in the past, all good horses share one characteristic. They possess speed. It's how they learn to use that speed is critical in their success. So what shouldn't be lost here is Kenny McPeek's training job. He talked about it to me yesterday morning, how he wanted this horse to settle more, to use himself in a better fashion and finish. They got everything they wanted out of this from an experiment standpoint. This is a horse now that showed he's not afraid to run through traffic. He can save ground. He's shifty, handy, Paul's word, perfect word. And the way he finished, and he made kind of a long, sustained run. I think this was a terrific effort on everybody's part. Horse, rider, and trainer, they were all on the same page.
Yeah, we're not saying he's going to win the Derby at 50-1, but what I will say this is just visually watching the race unfold, it did look like Mind That Bird's Derby and how he won that Derby, glued to the fence, steadily advancing, saving all the ground, and just skipping over that wet racetrack.
Yeah, I think the other thing that people are saying now, okay, Mystic Dan, it was a sloppy racetrack. Let's not forget that this horse did run a 94 Beyer going 5.5 furlongs. So he has it in him. He's had some brilliance in him. He showed some brilliance yesterday. So, you know, these horses grew up little by little. But the people that are out there saying, oh, Mystic Dan was an upset winner, I get it. He was 11-1. But if you go back and look at his PPs, he went 103 and change and ran a 94 Beyer at his second career start, going 5.5 furlongs. And yesterday he was able to rate in the Southwest.
Kenny McPeek, Brian Hernandez, the 3-year-old sweep from the Martha Washington to the Southwest in this road to the Arkansas Derby, the road to the Kentucky Derby through Hot Springs. Looks like that with the Smarty Jones winner. Believe we'll see Catching Freedom in a couple of weeks in the Risen Star Fairgrounds. Mystic Dan, McPeek said he's leaning towards skipping the Rebel Stakes and resurfacing in the Arkansas Derby. We're halfway there. The Rebel, the Arkansas Derby. You can catch him right here on Fox Sports 2. 9th race. It's not the last race at Oaklawn, but it's the last race we'll have for you today on America's Day at the races. Horses are in the paddock. Heavy favorite, One More Kelly, 6-5, 14 minutes out. Riders up, post parade next.
War Dancer, New York's leading turf sire again in 2023 with standouts like Barrage at Saratoga.
Here's Barrage with a final surge. Barrage got him.
War Saichi dominant on the dirt at Finger Lakes.
War Saichi has scampered well clear. War Saichi all the way with the top spot.
And Danzig Queen on the tap of the surface at Woodbine.
And Danzig Queen will come away and win by a length.
Consistently producing winners on dirt, turf, and synthetic. War Dancer, proud to stand in New York.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back on America's Day of the Races on our FS2 coverage, brought to you in part by Naira Bets, where you can play it all at NairaBets.com. Night's still coming up on our Sunday coverage from Hot Springs. Get signed up, started, play along. That's the offer, that $200 deposit match. New customer bonus when you punch in that code right there, match 200 at sign up. Again, at NairaBets.com. Stakes action earlier this week on Friday as well in that Distaff division, and bit of a surprise. Brad Cox filly stepping up, got a little bit of an assist doing so. The heavy favorite not getting out of the gate well, but now it looks like she is moving on to the big ones, Azarian, potentially the Apple Blossom later in the meet.
I mean, the biggest question is, will Manny Franco ship out every time that she's in one of these, as he did for this Bayakoa victory? As you mentioned, Greg, Hot and Sultry, who was the big favorite for Norm Cassie, literally just going to her knees, like the rug was pulled out from under her. So that put her out the back for a filly who is typically forwardly placed in here, and so therefore Comparative inherited the lead. She gutted out this victory, though. I mean, yes, she probably, got things in a more comfortable situation for her, but still, she fended off every challenger, and she does feel like a 4-year-old filly who it took her a while to put it all together, especially when you think about this barn, these connections, but once they do, they tend to keep rattling off these wins.
And you can look at Ice Orchid, who actually liked in the race.
Yeah.
She's a good mare in that spot. She did hold her off. Did she hang? I don't know. But still a pretty good one that she was able to gut out that victory from. As you mentioned, she's now won 3 in a row. Anytime you keep winning, especially at this level, got to give credit, bad break or not, from the heavy favorite Hot and Sultry. And we'll see when that one gets a fair shake, potentially next time out if they have a rematch. Azaries March 9th, Apple Blossom April 13th. And those are the targets now as we look at the weekend stakes winners. Obviously, Mystic Dan, impressive. Alva Star, so fun to watch and great to see her come back in that seasonal debut and win easily.
Yeah, and Brett Brinkman, who trains her, I'm pretty sure they have bred that entire family as well and campaigned all of them. So she's definitely the star of the family, but she's so fast and so exciting to watch, and really job well done to them for getting her back in just as good form.
Yeah, good starting point for her. Remains to be seen if Goodnight Olive's going to come back, but if she does, Sprint Division's going to be a lot of fun for fillies and mares.
Absolutely, and even if she doesn't, it'll be more fun because it might open the door for some new stars to break on through.
Yeah, so it was the comeback race of her 4-year-old campaign. Alva Star ended the year last year really impressively. And guys, if this was the starting point, it looks like the best still yet to come. This division could be in trouble.
Oh, she looked good. Fast, talented, and primed for a big 2024 campaign.
Yeah, and the scary part is her coming out party was kind of Saratoga, right? And we kind of know that she likes that racetrack, which is scary. So you might see her up there this summer, but she's just, like Maggie said, she's just really fast. She passed the test of a sloppy racetrack. Listen, she won in her debut over a sloppy racetrack, but she's just got brilliance when it comes to being quick and be able to finish. I talked about Skelly, who had the fastest times at the meet in 109 and change. He had the 2 fastest times. Alva Star had the 4th fastest time at the meet, and that's a filly that's improving. Her first start back, too, as well. And I'm with, the guys in New York. I know Andy's excited about her as well. I think 6 furlongs is going to stay within her scope, too, as well. And where does it go from there? Because if you go to the Breeders' Cup there, you're going to have to go 7 furlongs. We'll see what happens, but gosh, she's got a ton of talent.
You mentioned Skelly. In case our viewers missed it, this is what he did yesterday in the King Cotton, establishing himself as one of the best North American sprinters, where the very best have retired. Gunite having retired. Elite Power as well, the 2-time Breeders' Cup Sprint winner, and Skelly here coming back in the same race, or winning the same race that Gunite won last year in the King Cotton, blazing fast, lightning fast, and hard to catch.
Another horse for Dan Blacker, Straight No Chaser, he's gone too. So when I look at the Sprint Division right now, this is the fastest horse in the division by far. Now, he might have been the fastest horse at this point last year, and I'm wondering now if Steve's going to back up a little bit to prep him for the Breeders' Cup Sprint, because right now he is the fastest horse, at least the first quarter mile to first half mile. You just can't run with him early.
7 straight, Richie, for Skelly. Like, if you're a horse racing fan, if you're like a fan of sprint racing, you were thoroughly entertained watching the racing at Oaklawn yesterday.
Yeah, he's just so naturally fast. He does things very easily. I say this and people laugh, but, it's not how fast you're going, it's how you're going fast. Well, going fast comes easy to that guy, and he's got the right conditioner. Steve is a guy that can get a horse to hold his form for such an elongated period of time, and he plays to horse's strengths. And what you see today is what he's prepared for today. Steve kind of gets his horses ready for the big dances incrementally. He's not trying to get to the bottom of them right away. Skelly is to me right now the best sprinter in the country, and it's not even close. Now, it's a long season, but again, he has the right conditioner in Steve Asmussen. We got an interesting race on here, guys, and I'm all about the first 3 horses. Obviously, One More Kelly is your favorite. This is a horse that I thought had a lot of, kind of had traffic at the wrong time, right? When the race was going forward, this horse was caught in traffic. cleaner trip. This horse is going to be very tough today. You know, there she is in the post. But I'll throw it back to you guys for the post race. We get back to the other two that I like.
We'll meet the field. You saw one more, Kelly, then Windy Bay, upset winner, late December, Stoic Luna, the apprentice.
Yeah, you get a lot of weight on the 3, and you're getting 4-1. Here's the 4, Demi. You know, Shea Stewart's a very good conditioner. This horse ran really well in the slop last time after being left. This horse has shown speed. I think the 4 is a player in here.
Maggie and Greg like that mare into disco.
Taking all the money. It's the Maggie and the Wolf effect over there.
Lover girl, Minnesota bred.
Yeah, a little Minnesota bred. We saw a Minnesota bred win yesterday, and you get Louis Fuentes aboard. Louis had a little bit of mishap earlier in the card, but hopefully he's okay. But he's another one here that this filly by Congrats is really going to have to improve.
6 of them, mile and a 16th, with a $142,000 purse. How rude, Richie, a post parade right when you were giving us your 9th race analysis.
Guys, I jumped the gun a little. I apologize. Trying to stay in my lane. But getting back, one more Kelly last time was held up in traffic when the race, you know, at a critical juncture, when the race was going forward. Cleaner trip, going to be very tough to beat. The 2, Windy Bay, made a lot of sense to me. Tom Vanberg, son of the late, great Jack Vanberg, Hall of Fame conditioner of Ali Sheba. And the 3 are Stoic Luna. Now, you know, when I watch apprentice riders, and Joey Belmire is a 10-pound apprentice, one more win, he'll go to 7 pounds. And for people that don't know the way it works, when you start out, they give you a 10-pound break in the weights to incentivize owners and trainers to give a young rider an opportunity against more experienced riders. After you win 5, you go to 7-pound weight allowance. After you win 35, you go to 5 pounds for 1 year back to the date of your 5th winner. And this is a rider that I think is already seeing a race. And, you know, to me, you can see when a young rider really starts to see a race and what's going on around them. And he's ridden a couple of heads-up races that I think he's really catching on quick, and he hasn't even won his 5th yet. This horse gets in with 107 pounds in receipt of anywhere from 7 to 17 pounds from his rivals. And I thought that was kind of interesting with Stoic Luna. But one more, Kelly, is going to be really tough to beat. What do you think, JK?
Yeah, look, Richie, I agree with you, right? The one more Kelly down on the inside, and especially the way the McPeak barn is going at the current moment. You'd like to think that this horse probably is sitting on a nice performance, second off of a break. Hadn't run prior to the last start since October, so you'd like to think this horse is going to take another step forward. But I couldn't kind of get my eyes off the 2, Windy Bay, who's also coming in second off of a break, who ran well last time, was down kind of on the inside. Whenever a horse can kind of show the courage to be stuck down in kind of that pocket position, down on the inside, then they draw towards the inside again. It gives me a little bit of confidence that if it gets a little tight down there, Windy Bay has shown that she'll kind of fight on from down there. She won't kind of tuck her tail and try to get herself out of that position. She'll stay down in there, listen to her rider, and then if and when a seam presents itself, she'll be able to power through. So 7-5 on the 1 more Kelly versus 7-2 on the 2 Windy Bay. I'll take the 7-2 on Windy Bay.
While they circle about, this is what Jonathan was talking about, Windy Bay, and that most recent effort on the 29th of December. She's 17-1, Paulie, and does not run like a 17-1 shot.
No, she didn't. You know, this was her best race of her 15-race career. Both wins have been here at Oaklawn, so she likes it here. And Rafael Bejarano gave her a really heads-up ride here, was able to split horses and get the job done. And I love the way she did it, actually, to be honest with you. So I can understand where JK is going. You got Candy Ride on the bottom side. One of the wins is in the slop, so I can see that at 7-2 most definitely. One more Kelly is the horse to beat. I do like the 3 in here. I just think the 3 will fire a little bit. First time over a wet surface, you got Candy Ride on the bottom side. I do like the weight with Joey Belmire in here, and I also think Demi's going to lead him around for most of the way. I didn't see the 5 where Greg and Maggie saw the 5, but the public is seeing the 5 big time here at 3-1.
Second choice. You heard Richie, high praise for Joey Belmire. Yeah, you're not afraid to use him either.
No, I'm not, because you know in the last race, the horse was 17-1, got knocked down to 7-1. On the gallop out, the horse was like 5 lengths in front. Horse was rolling late. He's a feather on a racehorse right now. Mig is completely right. 107 pounds, and you could just see the horses grab the bit with him and they take off. Now, he's very patient. He'll stick to the rail most of the time, and if you get off the rail, he's going to be the one coming up it. So he's playing it the right way, you know, sort of reading the race like Richie's saying, and, you know, making the right call or making the right move at the right time.
Richie.
Yeah, guys, and just so you know, in a day and age when a lot of young riders, a lot of apprentices aren't able to tack less than 110, 112 pounds, Joey Bellemere can do 107 quite easily. As a matter of fact, I think he's capable of tacking 103 pounds. It's a huge advantage when you could take full advantage of that weight allowance that's given you. He's being tutored by Robbie Alvarado, a guy who's ridden a lot of good horses, including Curlin and Mineshaft. You know, so he's, and his dad was a former rider. You know, now, like I said, turned veterinarian. He's got a lot of support. His mom was a top-class exercise rider. So he's come up with the right people around him as well, and the fact that he can do that kind of lightweight is really going to give him a big advantage.
Richie, you really fought your weight for all the decades that you rode. For newer fans of the sport, can you lend perspective to how much easier your career would have been if weight wasn't an issue throughout your riding career?
Oh, gosh, Lafitte, it would have been so much easier. And honestly, it would have been so much easier for the people around me. You know, when you're living on a limited amount of calories, you're not always the clearest headed or clearest thinking person. You get kind of short-tempered. Things that used to bother me, I have no idea why they bothered me, you know, now that I can eat and have a normal meal and what have you. Physically, I was always able to do it and will my way through it. Mentally, it was much tougher, but huge advantage to be able to eat and live a normal life and still do this as a job.
He ain't lying. Trust me when I tell you, he ain't lying.
You know, I got all the respect in the world for these guys, and I'll never forget Angel Cordero called me one day, was actually talking to me one day, and he said, how many games did you catch last year? I said, 150. He's like, 150? I rode 350 days this year. And that's when I just kept my mouth shut and said, yep, pound for pound, they're the toughest men, athletes on the planet.
One of the greatest ever. Legendary Angel Cordero. A final race we'll have on the broadcast. There is a 10th race from Oaklawn. Post time, Matt Dinnerman standing by. Final check of the tote board, reading 3-2 on One More Kelly.
There you go. And they're off. Debbie off slowly. Stoic Luna, Windy Bay won too early. Windy Bay with a head lead. One More Kelly, aggressively ridden by Julian Leparoux, and now she snatches the lead. One More Kelly, the favorite right away to the front into the turn. Windy Bay right there hounding her, though, and those two lock horns around the turn, opening up two on Into Disco, who settles in the third position. Stoic Luna back in the fourth spot, a gap of 2.5 to Lover Girl, and Demi is the trailer in the early stages. Now One More Kelly concedes the lead again, and Windy Bay finds herself in front, leads by about a length. One More Kelly on the rail, running in second, now playing a tracking role. Into Disco, 2 lengths off the pace in the pink cap, 1.5 lengths to Stoic Luna, 3.5 to Lover Girl, joining Demi at the rear of the field. Down the backstretch, Windy Bay just the neck in front. One More Kelly coming right back at her, and One More Kelly now sticks the nose in front. Windy Bay right there, and these two get acquainted once again. With a half mile to go, they've been pestering one another, and they hit the forward turn, going at it. Into Disco, 2.5 lengths behind in the third spot. Demi tries to make a move from last. A joint fourth now with Stoic Luna, who's come under pressure, and a big space back to Lover Girl, not going to get it done. Approaching the quarter pole, Windy Bay drops anchor. She calls it a day, and One More Kelly is still in control. One More Kelly, 2 lengths ahead at the top of the lane. Into Disco second, Stoic Luna into third. Demi starts to flatten out as they approach the furlong pole. One More Kelly is all alone on the lead. She's 4 lengths clear, now 5, and she's in complete control. One More Kelly romps in the feature race on the card here at Oaklawn. One More Kelly, as the favorite, wins as advertised. Stoic Luna, good run, but has to settle for second. Into Disco is third. Demi checks in fourth.
That's why she was 8-5. One More Kelly one more win for trainer Kenny McPeak. What a weekend here at Oaklawn. The Martha Washington Southwest sweep yesterday, and a victory. One more Kelly here in the 9th of 10 on a Sunday.
Yeah, he's spreading the wealth, too. Julian Leperoux today gets the W in the Southwest. We saw Brian Hernandez got all the glory yesterday, but Julian's been riding a lot of Kenny's horses on this meet and having a solid meet as well. And Kenny's just having an unbelievable weekend, but no doubt about the winner here. One more. Kelly Miggs said it. This horse was going to be tough to beat, and the Bug Boy still gets a lot of weight. Nice little second place.
He's not afraid of the rail in the tight quarters.
He goes up the rail. He does not afraid of the rail. If you like a horse at a big price, this kid has brought in some horses at 30, 40 to 1. Second, third. He's lit up some superfectas. He's actually crossed the line at about 30 to 1. He can ride.
Really fun weekend here at Oaklawn Park. Great spending time with you on set. We'll do it again real soon.
Oh, definitely. Had a blast.
For Paul LaDuca, I'm Lafitte Pinkai. We'll see you next time. Greg and Maggie standing by in New York. Guys, I'm going to go teach a 4-time Major League All-Star how to throw an axe.
You couldn't do anything for me. Come on, man.
You were the champ. You won the contest, right?
No, Lafitte did.
Did he really?
That pains me to admit, but yes.
Rematch coming up.
Yeah.
Great job out there this weekend, guys. Terrific. And, it's fun to watch all these big races that we had as well. It was such a big weekend on the road to the Triple Crown, but other performances too, like we talked about with Alva Star, Road to the Oaks, some really Skelly.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
It really was. Maddie Ulver getting her first stakes/greatest stakes victory with Super Chow. Thought she rode that horse brilliantly. And kind of an overachiever that we saw here in Uncle Heavy taking down the Withers, and such a big galloping horse that the more distance he gets to cover, really, truly, Greg, I feel as though the better he's going to get able to beat our kind of inside-y rail bias yesterday, too.
Well, Butch Reed said the sooner we can get going longer, let's just do it. That's why he wanted this mile in an 8th race, because the longer the better for him. How much extra credit do you give him the way this racetrack was playing?
A lot. I know the race came up slow. This track has been very, very slow for like the last month or two, I'd say. And really, Linda's horse on the front end was able to have things all of his own way. He had to go and get that horse. I thought it showed a nice dimension and a nice determination from this PA bred. Ginny, Butch Reed's wife, very instrumental in the operation.
Horse bred by his sister-in-law, named after his brother Mark, and now he's got potentially a legitimate contender on the road to the Triple Crown. He won the Withers back in 2010 with the Fleet again. We're going to see him not with this horse in the Gotham, but a horse named Maximus Meridius as well. This horse looks like it's going to be pointed to the Wood Memorial. He said he likes it in New York. Why change things up?
Absolutely, and he likes the distance, whereas now the Gotham comes back and goes that 1-turn mile, whereas you mentioned Maximus Meridius likely to head there, and obviously a son of Maximus Mischief. I feel like they prefer things a little bit shorter, so a nice stepping stone for this horse, though. And Butch, always dangerous when he comes here to New York.
It's incredible. Yeah, I talked about it with Andy a little bit. The last 2 meets at Aqueduct, so 3 wins from 9 starters, all stakes wins. And he's won over $380,000.
Dr. B comes to mind, obviously.
Go for 1 winner.
So back-to-back in that race, too. And, his horses look the part. They come here and they look the part. They fit with these races and the horses that they face here. So, and Butch is an all-around great guy, too. So love catching up with him in the paddock.
Well, fierceness may be at the top of that list, but defeated in his 3-year-old return to the races. So not on top, really, of anyone's list right now in terms of major contenders. He could absolutely bounce back, and it sounds like Todd Pletcher is going to keep the same plan intact with him. Potentially Florida Derby.
Florida Derby. Good luck.
Let's see what happens. I mean, obviously has a much better race in him than we saw yesterday.
He does, but he needs everything to go perfectly his own way, and that may happen in the Florida Derby, but I can guarantee you it's probably not going to happen in the Kentucky Derby.
Things changing by the moment on this road to the Triple Crown with 3-year-olds. That's the way it goes. We are back 3 Eastern on Friday. Check your local listings. We'll see you on FS2 then. Hope you enjoyed the weekend, Uncle Heavy. We got a player coming in from Pennsylvania on this road to the Triple Crown. Comes in, takes the Grade 3 Withers on to the Wood for Butch Reed and company. What a performance. And Mystic Dan What a weekend for Kenny McPeek, sweeping the Kentucky Oaks and Derby Preps out in Hot Springs. We'll see you next Friday at 3 Eastern.